Hey everybody, and welcome to a rather short notice live stream here. Today I thought I'd do something a little bit different and go through the Board Game Geek Top 100 and give some passing thoughts as we go along. And as you can see, I'm not by myself here. I have somebody joining me. Ben, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, hi, I'm Ben. Do you want more than that?
Ben, what do you do in the board game space?
From Back of the Shelf podcast. We've had you on several times, Dan. It's always been a pleasure. So I thought I'd return the favour.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I've been trying to get Ben and some of the other guys from the Back of the Shelf podcast onto the onto a stream or onto my channel, but for one reason or another, it's never worked out. But finally, we managed to get Ben on. And so their podcast is absolutely fantastic. It's one of the only kind of board game media that I actually consume and listen to, because they take a whole different approach to a lot of the other stuff out there and really focus on kind of old forgotten gems and stuff that it isn't really talked about nowadays. So I think that's a great kind of niche that they have, and they do a great job, great kind of chemistry. So if you do like your podcasts, definitely give their show a look. Really good stuff.
Oh, you're making me blush.
So let's talk about why we're here today then. So as I said, we're going to go through the Board Game Geek Top 100, give our thoughts about them. Do we like them? Have we played them? Do we want to play them? And all that kind of thing. I suppose before we get started, I wanted to kind of give a brief overview of thinking, what are your thoughts on the ranking system as a whole? Do you put much credence on the BGG Top 100?
No, almost none. Because I used to a few years ago, number one, that was super important to me. Have a look at those top 10s. But as time's gone on, I've realized it's got less and less to do with the quality of the game and more to do with popularity, word of mouth, and Kickstarter. I think warps it significantly, because if you've paid so much money for a Kickstarter, you're going to be inclined to give it a higher score. And then also, if it's a very limited run, only those people who have paid big money for it will have it. You're not going to get many negative reviews there. So I tend not to pay too much attention to it these days. I still quite enjoy it. It's nice to see what goes on there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's a really good point. And if you do, really analyze why these games are going up there, then again, reasons like Ben is saying, that kind of consumer bias, buying it, rating it accordingly, because you don't want to kind of kid yourself that you've wasted money on the game. But I will say that kind of looking at my favorite games, like say my top 10, I think 8 of them are in the top 100. And for me, that kind of gave me a bit of a reality check that maybe there is some weight behind this list. Because I don't think I get sucked up too much in that kind of thing. I don't think any of those games were Kickstarter games. So I don't know, maybe there is something to it. And I think if a game does get to that popularity or to that level of success, then they've got some kind of winning formula that's, are they the best games? I don't know, but I think they've got to have something extra, I think. But we'll talk about that as we go along. So let's get into the list. You ready, Ben?
I'm ready.
Okay, so let's get started. And I'm going to say the first game is an absolute banger and one of the only games that I rate a 10 out of 10. This is Trajan. So Trajan, number 100. So yeah, as you can see here, this is one of my favorite games of all time, and one of only 3 games I think that I rate a 10 out of 10. Love it. Stefan Feldman, Carla game, point salad. Ben, do you like Sveld? Do you like Trajan?
I've never actually played this. I know Gerald absolutely loves this game. So it's definitely on my list of things I want to play. But yeah, I don't know much. There was something about it. I can't remember a specific thing he said. You don't see it that much in these games. So yeah, really, really want to play this one.
Yeah, it's one of those games that I got many years ago, and it just kind of, every time I played it, my rating went up and up and up and up, and now it's just like plateaued at a 10. As I said, I very rarely give 10s away. I've rated hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games, and only 3 of them have 10. Trajan is one of them. So I love it that much. And it's definitely my favorite Feld game. But do you like any of the Feld games, or have you not tried any? Or
man, I'm drawing a blank here. Stefan Feld games. We'll come across some.
I'm sure we will come across a few more. Okay, so that's true.
Yeah.
Definitely a deserved. Well, obviously, I think it's deserved to be up the top 5. But okay. Next up, we have Decrypto at number 99. So for me, this was a game that completely destroyed Codenames for me. As soon as I got to Crypto, I never played Codenames again. I think this beats it in every way. Team versus team word-based game, as you're trying to give clues but not be too obvious, so your opponents can intercept on the words you secretly have. Have you played this one, Ben?
I've owned it for a long time, and I could never get it to table. I could never quite find that right time. I need it's not an entry level game. So you need 7 or 8 gamers, and I can never get that group going.
That's a good point, actually, because I did compare it to Codenames. I think Codenames is a game that gets compared to this one a lot, and I will say this is that notch higher, which does add a slight obstacle and kind of gives you that slight hindrance, thinking, am I going to pull this one out, or am I going to lean to a trusted one that we've played again and again? But for me, I think that extra bit of effort is worth it because of the payoff. I think it's just a bit more clever, but as Ben said, this one is a bit more. It's not as intuitive as a game like Codenames, but again, I think that pays off in the actual gameplay itself. But a great party game, and I'm actually surprised it's this high. I didn't realize it was so highly ranked.
I'm quite surprised. It gets a serious buzz.
Yeah.
I've never really seen it around, but I know it pops up everywhere.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Party Plus style game. Okay, so something completely different now. Number 98, Tigris and Euphrates. So an absolute classic Reiner Knizia game. A game that I always say is massively unique. There's nothing else really out there that compares to Tigris and Euphrates, apart from Yellow and Yangtze, of course. Have you played this one, Ben? I know this is a bit of a classic. I think Jerry likes this one as well.
Oh, he loves this one. I have never been able to find this at any sort of reasonable price, so no.
Yeah, sadly, this one has gone out of print semi recently, but I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will come back pretty soon.
I have pretty strict rules about how much I'll pay on games. This is one of those that if I see it at anything below like giving blood levels, and then I'll take it.
Yeah, but this is, if you want something that's completely different, very confrontational, pretty abstract. You can map things out quite carefully, but there is some decent randomness put into it, like just the right amount by drawing tiles and things. But again, it's a game you really have to play for yourself to understand the nuances and stuff about it. But very weird, but I think to be unique for that many years, I think is great. 1997 release, fantastic. Okay, 97, Isle of Cats. Now, this is a game I haven't tried, despite this one being immensely popular probably the last 2 years or so. Does this one appeal to you, Ben, or not?
It's I have tried this, but on Board Game Arena. It came out as an alpha, I think, at the moment. So it's not complete, it's not polished. I couldn't quite get it's just Polyominoes, fitting them into the ship. I put it aside, waited for it to be fully released.
Okay.
Didn't grab me.
Right, okay. And do you generally like Polyominoes as a mechanism in general? Or is there any kind of standout Polyomino game that you go to?
I should point out I have not looked at the top 100 in quite some time, so I'm not sure what's going to come up or not. I'd say yes, I quite like them. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, let's say yes, I do like them.
Okay. Yeah, I know this has kind of been a real influx of these games over the last couple of years, and this was one of the ones that really did take off. I've not really given it a massive look because I always thought a lot of them were so similar to each other, and none of them hooked me massively. But I want to try this one, but I probably won't pick it up. Okay, 96, Russian Railroads. This is a game I haven't tried. I don't really know much about it, but I will be checking out the Ultimate Railroads, which is coming out this year, which is a kind of this one, and I think all the expansions in one big box. I think it's a relatively involved Euro. Other than that, I don't really know much about it. Do you know anything about the mechanisms in this one, Ben, or not?
Yeah, it's building tracks and moving the trains. I've had a go at this. It's really Euro, like really Euro, and not really my cup of tea.
Okay, that's interesting. Because everything you said, saying it's really Euro, that's just piqued my interest. So, yeah.
It's I can't think if there's any luck in it at all.
Okay,
it's been a while now, but yeah, I don't remember. It was just very take things, put things, take. It was very mechanical.
Okay, cool. Well, that sounds good to me. So that's up my optimism for Russian Railroad. So yeah, looking forward to the Ultimate Railroads being released this year. Okay, note 95, Lorenzo Il Magnifico. So this one, another one of my absolute favorite games. This has been a top 3 gamer for me, I think, since I've owned it. I think it's got pushed out of the top 3 to number 4 this year. This is a worker placement game, an engine building worker placement game, where you are essentially taking different cards, but based on these workers associated to different colors, which are associated to different dice. So the strength of those dice changes from round to round, but everybody's playing with the same strength, which I think is a really cool mechanism. Does this one appeal to you? Because this is very Euro, but I think it's got that slightly lighter, more fun factor to it as well. But what do you think?
This does. Can I talk about other podcasts on here?
Absolutely.
There's a podcast I listen to called Board Game Snobs. They absolutely love this game. And so I have been, again, looking for this for a long time. This is really hard to find.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that actually because I had it for such a long time. I didn't realize it was hard to get hold of. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
this
can't
one
find
seemed.
them.
Yeah, this one for me, out of all these games by these Italian designers, this one seems to be one of the ones that's most polarizing. So some people really love that dice mechanism, which determines the strength of your workers, and some people really oversell the randomness of it. And for me, because everybody's hit with that same randomness, it doesn't really feel random, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I get shafted and you don't. So it's kind of like another contingency you have to overcome. But I think it's an amazing game. The engine building is so satisfying, enjoyable. And it does that perfect thing where it really peaks and then the game just ends. And I love that. That's what makes you come back to engine builders for me. Okay, speaking of Polyomino games, 94 Patchwork. Again, surprised to see this one so high because it is.
Yeah,
very long.
This is where I think lots of people have bought it because it's cheap and easy and very accessible, and therefore have. And I'm like, yeah, skewed that slightly. It's okay. I played it. Me and my wife played it 10 times, and then it's like, yeah, we've seen everything really we can possibly see in this game.
Yeah, I get that. I think for me, actually, this is my highest rated Rosenberg game. I think I generally don't get on with these games too well, but this one I think is great. And this one, I haven't played it really much in the last couple of years, but before that, this was one of my go-to games with me and my partner as well. Very lightweight, and I love the extra layer of the economy where not only are you trying to fill in the board, but also get that constant income of the buttons as well, which just enough gaminess, but not too much to turn people off.
It did lead us on to, I think it's him. If it's not him, they're very similar games, but there's 3 that came out. Indian Summer and The Cottage God. We moved on to those, and we do quite enjoy those.
Okay, what, better than Patchwork?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Much heavier or same kind of level?
A little bit more. Let's say a step up. There's a little bit more going on, but same feel to it. They're really nice games.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things. It's such a saturated area of gaming. All those tile placement games that I really didn't know which ones to kind of have to swim through it and which ones to pick. But still, Patchwork has always stayed in my collection, and didn't really consider getting rid of that one. Okay, 93 Rising Sun. Very grandiose Eric Lang area control game. Loads of different things going on. Massive production. Kind of the almost spiritual successor to Blood Rage and I suppose prequel to Ankh. So Ben, have you really done a deep dive into Eric Lang's area control games? I know these are
no. He is massively popular, but at the risk of very controversial, I've not heard great things about him. I know he's really popular, but then the people who I enjoy as reviewers aren't massive fans of his games. They think there's a lot of the same thing. So Rising Sun is the one, if I had any choice of any of them, it's probably the last one I would pick. There's a couple I would be interested in. Okay,
I've only tried this one and Blood Rage, which obviously we'll talk about later because I'm pretty sure that's higher up. I actually, when this game first came out, I was enamored with it. I thought it was so great. This was maybe 3 years ago now. And there was just kind of like a switch on my head when suddenly I went full Euro and I couldn't really play games like this anymore. But I still really appreciate what it does. It does that cool Puerto Rico system where you're drafting the ability that you get and everybody else gets a kind of slight worse version of it. This does that quite well, especially for like an area control style game. So yeah, I think one of my main issues with it was that there's so much kind of added in content that it started to get a bit jarring. There were exceptions. It started to get a bit bloated and convoluted. But I think it's decent, but I certainly have soured on it.
Wow.
92 Raiders of the North Sea. So I've not played this one, but I think, am I right in thinking that the Raiders of Scythia is exactly the same game or near enough the same game?
From what I understand, yeah, I do own this game. Again, played it three times and think, yeah, that was about it really. It's fine. It was an interesting. We played a fair amount. Worker placement used to be ubiquitous. This is a slightly different spin on it. It was fine. Yeah, played it a few times. It's really light. It's not massively engaging.
I'm completely with you there, Ben. So I've only played the Raiders of Scythia version, which again I think is 90% the same. And for me, it was a bit of a flat line. These kind of medium light worker placement games are a bit of an area that I struggle with because I think they're all so similar with one very slightly different thing that differentiates them. And I kind of like the being, this is the game that does this, not this is the game that does the same thing as everything else, but slightly different. But it was fine, as Ben said, just quite generic in my opinion.
Yeah, painless. I was, it's like, yeah, okay, we played it. That great, well done. It's like,
yeah, I'm with you. Okay, 91. This is not really the kind of games I play, despite loving Lord of the Rings. This is Journeys in Middle-earth. This is a Lord of the Rings kind of adventure game that uses app integration. I think this is a kind of a sister game to the Mansions of Madness system. Have you played Mansion Madness or this one?
So my wife does not like these games, so the chances of me playing these are slim. I would be interested if I could find the right group, but no, I haven't tried this one now.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I generally don't play kind of campaign-driven games because I'm very much pull this one off the shelf depending on what mood I'm in, and I don't really like the commitment that these games kind of demand. So one that I'd happily try somebody else's version of, but I certainly won't be adding it to my collection. And the same goes for the next one, really. Eldritch Horror, that whole kind of Cthulhu area of gaming is nothing I've really dived into, never really appealed to me. Have you dived into the Arkham Horror, Eldritch Horror kind of umbrella of games?
No, I don't think I've ever played a Cthulhu game, which seems odd now. I'm trying to think. I don't think I ever have, no.
No,
strange.
I can't think of many that I've played. I know there's so many out there, but I know that again these are massively popular. Obviously, being in the top 100, but and I think this is the newer one out of the two. I know there's Arkham Horror and Eldritch Horror. I think this is the kind of newer edition, but I could be wrong on that. Okay, 89. Alexander Pfister's first game on the top 100. This is at Mombasa. So Mombasa. Very Pfister in its mechanisms, kind of hand management, playing cards to do different abilities, climbing tracks, getting shares, kind of expanding your kind of coverage of the main board and investing in these companies to multiply your points. I think this game is some of Pfister's greatest work in my opinion. I think this is probably my second favorite game of his. I think it's brilliant. Very hard to get hold of now. Have you played this one or?
No, because it's really hard to get hold of. Yeah, it passed me by first time. Never found it. God, my whole world's come crashing in here. I haven't played any of these games. I feel terrible.
No, it's okay because I mean, obviously you're aware of them, and is Pfister a kind of designer that you generally like as games?
No, not really. No, I'm not.
No, I can get that. I mean, despite I generally enjoy his games. There's again a few that I like way more than others, but he's one of those designers that are generally the medium heavyweight Euro, and I can see why people wouldn't like them. So despite me personally like them, I can see why they're not for everybody. But for me, Mombasa is brilliant. Dominion, particularly Intrigue. This is kind of one of my gaming confessions, actually. So this is number 88. I've never played Dominion. One of those games that completely evaded me. Just one reason or another. When I got into the hobby, I think the game that got me into the hobby was Legendary, which is the kind of Marvel deck builder. This one, obviously, just passed me because I didn't really want two deck builders in my collection. So, have you played Dominion, Ben? Or I know most people.
So. I played Dominion right back when it first came out, and I don't know why, but I only ever played the start setup. I think I played with different people, and obviously it's their first game. I said I was going to play the start setup, the suggested setup, and in preparation, and I got really bored of it, and I never carried on. Preparation for Dune Imperium, got out Dominion. Someone brought it. We got it out. We played the setup. I was like, yeah, standard. I remember all this stuff, and then we played a different setup, absolutely brilliant, absolutely fantastic. The different ways you had to control the cards, because the initial one you're just buying cards to make better cards. In the second setup, you had to sacrifice cards to do. It was fantastic. So it's gone right back up my estimation. This game.
Yeah, it's just quite an interesting one because obviously it's had so much support over the years. God, I think it's over like 15 expansions or something. And that pure level of variety is kind of like almost like a hook for me, but also a bit of a deterrent, because I think my biggest problem with these deck building games is that they get so bloated and then they become cumbersome, and then what's the optimal way to play them? And I suppose that's been the biggest obstacle for me. But I actually quite like the idea that this is a pure deck builder, because most deck builders now are hybrids, have a bit of deck building, a bit of something else. And I think the more and more I kind of get or play more games, I start to appreciate kind of more simplicity, or more simple things. And so Dominion is still one of those kind of nagging itches that I want to go and explore. And again, I'm a bit.
I massively recommend it. That second setup, when you're playing a game, and then suddenly things click, and you're oh, okay, I got to do that. Everything shifted around. It was a great moment. It's a great game.
Interesting. Okay, thanks for that. 87, Trois. So Trois, this is another kind of a polarizing game. This is as mechanical and dry as it comes. If you don't like your dry Euros, then you're probably not going to like Trois. But if you do, I'm pretty sure that you'll love it. So this is a dice-driven a game where you're kind of using your dice, but you can also take other people's dice without their permission, but you have to pay them for it. And then you're kind of dividing those pips into different actions you can take, and you're kind of communally fighting against these threats as well, for area control bonuses. Again, it's so dry, you can almost see the gears turning in this game. But a bit like, we're talking about Dominion, this one has so much variability. Each game is massively different from the others because the different cards that come out. I think this is a brilliant game. Have you dabbled with this one, Ben, or does it appeal? I'm guessing not.
I have dabbled with this online, and this is one of those games that made me realize that the actual rolling of the dice is quite an important part of some of these games. And so obviously we didn't do that online, so I didn't really click with me. But I know Gerald absolutely loves it. Just raves about this game, and I wonder if it's that clinking sound of dice going down, waiting for them to come up, that plays a large part in it.
I think that's a fair point. That tactility of a game is massive, and when it's taken away, you don't realize how big it is. But what did you feel about the the stealing? I say stealing, but taking other people's dice without their consent? Because I know that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. For me, I don't really consider them my dice. I see them. You have to pay me for them. They're not mine to own. So I kind of accept that, but I know that's kind of one of the sticking points for people.
I like interactive, so that's things like that I'm all for. Making someone sort of sit up and have a little bit. I like that stuff. So yeah, I can see why that would annoy a Euro gamer. Absolutely.
Yeah, so normally that kind of thing would annoy me, but for this it just works for me because you do get compensated for it, and I think it's a great game that stood the test of time. 11 years old now, or 12 years old, and I still think it's fantastic. 86, big one. In fact, this is one of the reasons I don't like the BGG Top 100 is duplicates. So this is the third edition of Twilight Imperium. I'm sure if you're watching this, you probably know that the fourth edition is ranked higher. So I think should we talk about Twilight Imperium with the first one?
Sure.
Yeah, with the newest edition. Yeah. Let's move on then. Battlestar Galactica. So this is one of the. We're talking about Grail games. This one was one of the games that people would search high and low to get a copy of, spending hundreds of pounds. A kind of a more involved, longer social deduction game. Never played this one. Not really interested in playing a longer social deduction game, and especially one themed on Battlestar Galactica, which I don't give a damn about. So, have you played this one, Ben? Or
no, never played it. No. Oh, because they rethemed it, haven't they?
Yes, they have.
Yeah, I'm like you, putting in an hour to 2 hours to suddenly just have it all pulled out from under you. I'd find that tricky.
Yeah, and I think maybe Ben, we're even underselling it then, because I think it might be 3 hours or so to play. I think I could be wrong on that. I've not played it, but yeah, if you can't get a hold of this one and you didn't know, there is a new Cthulhu themed one called Unfathomable, I think it's called. If you want to play that one, so but it's still interesting to see a game with an IP being so highly revered. Okay, 84, Pandemic Legacy, Season 0. I've only ever played base game Pandemic. Never played a Legacy version, kind of one of the reasons for, or kind of I mentioned earlier about the Journeys of Middle-earth game. I generally don't play campaign games or ones that require longer commitment. Have you had much experience, or what are your thoughts on Legacy games in general, and of course Pandemic?
None. I know that the boys tried playing season 1 and got through 3 or 4 months. I think you have to really, really like Pandemic to carry on the whole season. I did have some people who did like it, but again, one of those things that, can I ask you to play then 12 games in the foreseeable? That's a tricky sell.
Absolutely, yeah. That'll be near enough impossible to arrange, for me personally. And to be honest, Pandemic, a game that I could really, I would happily never play it again. To be honest, I've had my time with it. Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's objectively a good game, but I kind of, been there, done that, seen it, and not really interested in anything else. Okay, moving on then. Number 83, Caylus. So this is another one of those games. This is, I think, one of the first worker placement games. That is one of the old, dry, dusty, cutthroat Euros. And watching this channel, you probably know that that's kind of my forte. Never played Caylus, never played the newest version either, but certainly want to do so. Have you had much experience with Caylus, Ben?
I have. I really like this game. Gerald was really interested. I bought it for him for his birthday. I'm not sure if he's played it yet or not. This is when you look at board games, there's a definite era where games were ruthless, and you had to play them. You also had to play them 5, 6, 7, 8 times before you really thought, "Oh yeah, okay, I'm getting this down." This is probably the prime example of this. There are so many things to do. You said cutthroat. It's absolutely cutthroat. It's extraordinary how mean you can be in this game. Just devastating. So yeah, we really, really like this game. It's really you say it's a Euro. I would hesitate. I think today's definition of a Euro is quite different to what this game. This game was quite take that-ish.
Okay.
Game. Yeah, it's really good.
Okay, yeah, I definitely want to pick this one up in the future. So I don't know why I haven't. I can't really explain why I haven't, because it's normally the kind of games I like from that era, especially. Oh, and speaking of very cutthroat games, 82 El Grande. So El Grande, another pretty in-your-face area control style game, ones that you can, really, again, kind of become quite cutthroat. Your quintessential area majority style game. Wolfgang Kramer. This is my favorite game of all time. I haven't ranked it on here because I think I've ranked the big box version, but
doesn't go up to 11.
Pardon?
Doesn't go up to 11.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you. This game is amazing.
I've never played this. I tried once online, it wasn't. Again, it's one of those things that you need to be around the table playing with your friend, doing the little castle thing. I know that Gerald has it. It's one of those games that as soon as we see each other, if I ever find this at a reasonable price, it's gonna be an insta buy. Because this is very top of my wish list.
Yeah, again, if you like that kind of cutthroatness, very clever but simple mechanisms, ones that you might not think are so significant at the start, like things such as only being able to deploy where the king is or around the areas. That is like so important in the game, and it's just so dynamic. It's kind of tactical with a kind of small thread of strategy. It's as good as it gets, I think, for a game that's from 1995 is quite fascinating, really. So I think one of the best games, my favorite game ever made. 81, talking about midweight or mid to lightweight worker placement games, Architects of the West Kingdom. So another massively successful and popular game series. Shem Phillips design. Again, 6 here. I think that 6 just kind of, for me, just completely just classifies the game. It's okay. It's just what it is. It's fine. It has that one or two different things that make it different from all the other worker placement games of the same weight value. Again, that's what I think, really. I know that's probably an unpopular decision or opinion.
I don't understand why they're so popular. Like, Raiders was fine, and it's like just fine. It didn't really excite me very much. I'm looking at this one. I haven't actually played this one because the Raiders one was just fine. I look at this thing, okay, fine. Still nothing about it really gets my juices going. And yet they're wildly popular.
Yeah, I know, like scarily popular. And I think if you did take that kind of impression away from the Raiders game that we talked about earlier, then I'm pretty sure that you'll feel the same way about this one. This one just had that different mechanism where if you keep putting the same workers down, then you get more resources each time you do it. So it kind of has that compounding resource gathering, and then you can like arrest workers and send them to jail and stuff. So it had that little extra of of interactivity, but for me that wasn't enough to take it away from the genericness of the rest of it. Just that kind of gathering resources, buying buildings, all that kind of stuff we've seen 1,000 times.
It sounds like he took the idea of worker placement, put a guy down, do a thing, and he thought, right, how can I do this differently? Oh, there's 3 different ways I can do this. There's 3 different games right there, and let's now try and make a game. Like, yeah, okay, if that's the way you want to go and do it.
I couldn't summarize that, mate. That's exactly what's, in my opinion, what's happened. But talking about worker placement games that are standouts. Keyflower. Played this one, Ben? Because I'll let you take the lead on this one if you have, by that reaction.
I love and I hate this game. I've never come across anything like it. It's crazy. It's so tight. It's so mean, and it's so finely balanced. And yet, if 1 foot wrong, you're done. You're finished. There's no coming back from it. And being able to put workers down on other people's oh man, I absolutely love this game. But if it's going wrong, usually you can tell by the middle of autumn whether it's gonna happen or not. And I've got to play the rest of this game and watch you just thrash me. Yeah, I love when it goes well. I love this game. When it goes badly,
this is an incredible kind of bidding and worker placement game. And as you said, you're acquiring these tiles, but then you can bid on the tiles that people are acquiring, and they get all the meeples on them, and the meeples are the currencies. So there's constant flow back and forth of all the different meeples, and makes people stronger in certain categories. It's just as good as it gets. This is a fantastic game.
It's extraordinary. I can't think of any game like it.
No, that's a good point.
I've never crossed it.
I think it's maybe some of the kind of partner games, the other Richard Breese games that kind of change some of the mechanisms, but the rest of it are the same. But yeah, you're right. Nothing else has used that hybrid of the bidding and the worker placement so seamlessly together. It's just
and your workers being used for both of those, using them to bid, but also because you don't want to bid too many because you want those workers to produce resources. Yeah, clever. Great game.
Yeah, and even not being a certain color yourself, you've got all the colors and they're not yours. They're just one of the currencies. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, number 79, Tainted Grail, Fall of Avalon. These games, some games like this, generally I just won't even take a second look at. Massive campaign-driven games, loads of superfluous plastic and things. Maybe I'm underselling it, I don't know, because I know obviously they're very popular. Have you dabbled in these style of games or not, Ben?
No. I'm like you. I look at this. There's no way I'm playing this game. Just the groups I'm in just wouldn't want to play them. I am genuinely fascinated to know who plays them, because I've never met anyone who owns anything like this.
Well,
I'd be curious.
Yeah, I think from a personal level, I actually, like in my personal life, I think I'm with you. But you see a lot of the big content makers. These are the kind of games that are always in the spotlight. These are always the ones. What's the next 100-hour campaign game with 100 miniatures, 500 hours of gameplay? Or I don't understand how they're finding the time to get these to the table, get them completed. Because to me they all look the same at a glance, but maybe that's just being ignorant. But I don't know. Not for me. 78, a game that certainly is for me. Grand Austria Hotel. So another great dice-driven Euro with a really cool theme. Actually, this is probably one of the only games where I think theme helps massively. And I'm not a thematic gamer. I don't really care. I'm very much a mechanisms man. But I think for me, the theme of this game really does sell it to people. And whoever I played it with, even if they don't really like Euros, they normally think Grand Austria Hotel is one exception to that. And this is one that I would certainly think could extend that drawbridge out to people who are turned off Euros into enjoying them. Any thoughts on this one, Ben? Have you played it?
I know Gerald loves it. He sends me photos of the board with little cubes on, and I'm like, it's not. This is like the modern type of Euro, which I don't really enjoy that much.
Okay, fair enough. I've never played this game with someone who hasn't enjoyed it, but I don't know. I'd recommend giving it a go because it's not terribly long. It's going to be a 2-player game, which is actually the optimal player count.
It's definitely my radar. It looks like that meaty game. If it pops up, if it's put in front of me, I'd play it, but I don't know if I'd actively seek it out.
Okay, fair enough. I think it's brilliant. That is Grand Austria Hotel 78. So 77. Oh, yes. Oh, dominant species. Okay, this is another very cutthroat area control style game that I absolutely detested. So this is. Have you played this one, Ben?
No, the boys have, and they have very funny thoughts about it. They said it was fascinating, but not really a game.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, this is a weird game, and it's one of those games that I can kind of appreciate what they were trying to do, because you have this kind of worker placement part, and that will get activated in like chronological order, so you can kind of almost program all the actions that are going to happen. But that creates so many variables where all the housekeeping is just painful, because basically all these different hexes that consist of the map, you're always kind of manipulating to suit your species and hurt other people's species. And any kind of action you can do can kind of cascade out and affect everything else. And it's constant housekeeping, constant bookkeeping. And for me, it was just all work, no fun at all. And I'm surprised so many people love this one, because I really couldn't find the fun in it. But I suppose everyone's got their own taste. But would you try it or not interested?
I don't know if I would. They said it was like, I don't know if they would play it again. I'd have to ask them. They said it was interesting. It was very interesting. Maybe not so much fun.
I can't think of anything else that really does that same mechanism. But yeah, it felt like work, and I wouldn't play it again. 3 hours as well. Not great. Okay, 76. Another massively popular game. I suppose that's a bit of a moot point, but this is Lords of Waterdeep, Dungeons and Dragons, medium light worker placement game. I'm assuming you played this, Ben. This seems to be a lot of people's kind of first year in gaming are getting this one to the table. Is that the case?
This was not my first game. I played this a few years after its. When was it? Yeah, a few years after. It did not hit the spot for me. It's just. I guess I went into it a little because I've spoken since to people. They say you can't call them purple cubes and orange cubes. You got to call them the rogues and the wizards. I don't even know what those things are. Which one's the purple cube? What is this? The wizard? Okay, I'll have 5. So yeah, it just didn't really float. It was just moving cubes around to buy cards. It just didn't float for me.
Yeah, this one, again, as a generic worker placement game as it gets, but it does what it does quite well, I think. And I do like the fact that you can build buildings, own them, and then other people can use them, and you get a benefit from that. I think that's a cool mechanism that's been used great in other things, particularly Keyflower does it better. But this one was, for me, this was a great kind of drawbridge into bridging that gap into the more heavier worker placement game. So I will say, as a true gateway, welcoming game, this one did do a good job, but this one over the years has fallen for me quite drastically, and again, I got no real reason to go back to it because there are so many better ones out there now. 75, Agricola. Agricola, game I haven't played, and to be honest, out of all the Uwe Rosenberg games I've mentioned earlier, I've never found one that's really hit the spot for me, and so that's really made it quite apprehensive to try any more, to be honest. Any experience with this one or Caverna? Or
none, no really. I know David hates this game. He absolutely hates this game. So when he says that, no, that's not for me at all.
Did he say why, or?
I just said it was work. It was just work. That's a lot of the impression I get from a lot of his games. I just really struggle to extract the fun out of them, and it's really weird because you think on paper they sound really great, but in practice, no. 74, 5 Tribes. Now, this is a weird one actually, because I think objectively this is a good design, Bruno Cathala design, another designer actually who I've really struggled to find his gem, or at least game for me. This is like a Mancala style game. You have this big grid of tiles and meeples on those tiles, then you're moving them, kind of picking up a whole cluster of these meeples, dropping them off one at a time, and then taking the action on where you land, depending on the meeple color. Quite an interesting mechanism. I do have some quite distinct problems with it. Any thoughts on this one, Ben? No, I was interested because it was the raging hotness, when it came out.
Yeah.
But I heard at least 2 or 3 people say this is quite susceptible to analysis paralysis. And I've always been cursed with, not cursed, I shouldn't say cursed. I've always been blessed with game groups who have at least one who struggles with that. and I can't stand analysis paralysis. So when they say this is no, just don't even look at it.
So that is, in my experience, I've played this a few times. That's semi-true. So my problem with this game is that it could be so AP prone if you want to play to that level, but for me, it's always really obvious about the obvious move to take. There's one good move on the table, so player order is so important, and that obvious move, you're always going to take it because I suppose people would argue that you don't always take the obvious move because you could be leaving opportunities to other players, but from that it creates so many variables, variables within variables within variables, thousands of different combinations that there is no way you're going to go through that thought process and work things out, and it just ended up feeling work, and then you just take the obvious move and go from there. But I probably haven't explained that well. But one thing I did like about this game was the fact that you actually bid for turn order. That was my favorite thing about it. But the rest of it, I could certainly certainly take it or leave it. Okay, 73, Seven Wonders. Another kind of Gateway Plus level drafting game. This was one that really kind of put drafting on the map. Supports big player counts. You're building these wonders, increasing your military, science, all that kind of thing. So a very, again, Gateway Plus level, almost like a Civ building game based on drafting cards. Works really well for what it is. See, I've rated it fairly low here. I did play this many years ago. I haven't played it probably in about 5 years. Maybe I'd appreciate it more nowadays if I played it, and maybe that 5.5 is a bit harsh. But it's okay. I wasn't really blown away. Any interest?
Really like this game. Really like this game. This was one of those games. I was there when this came out, and this changed everything. Right? I was blown away by it. It was incredible. So yeah, I really love this game.
Yeah, I know. I'm certainly in the minority of this, and I said I think if I played it now, I might appreciate it more. Because at the time, I was kind of, I think I was starting to get into more heavy games, and that maybe some of the again more streamlined games started to, the beauty of them started to get a bit lost on me. But I would certainly try it again, and there is another version which may come up a bit later. Okay, number 72. This is Voyages of Marco Polo. So another game from the Italian designers, another dice-driven worker placement game. I think this game is great. I think out of all of them, this kind of midweight worker placement games, this is one that's really distinct. Love the way they use the dice in this one. Love the fact you get these unique player powers that are pretty game-breaking. I actually prefer the second version of this one. For me, it kind of merged together a bit. It was a bit more harmonious in its design. But I think it's a great game. Played this one, Ben, or interested?
Yeah, I did. I don't know why I didn't like it so much. I think mainly because we absolutely, I don't know if it's going to come up further up the thing. We absolutely love Alien Frontiers, which has the same idea, right? Rolling the dice, putting them down somewhere. And I don't know why this didn't click so well with me. But yeah, I think we tried it once or twice. Yeah, not my thing, really.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'd say this is probably maybe a level higher than Alien Frontiers.
You wound me, sir. You wound me.
No, I don't mean like. I mean, what I mean in its weight kind of category. But hey, I think it's really good. But again, I rate this one an 8. I think I rate the second one an 8.5. I think they're really good designs. So very well-rounded games. 71. Okay, another dice-driven Euro. So if you don't know, dice-driven Euros are really kind of my jam. I love those style of games. And this is another one by the same designer or co-designer of Marco Polo, Danny Ticini. This one, Teotihuacan, City of Gods, big rondel game, massive cascading kind of combos and things. You get this, which triggers this, climbing tracks, all that good stuff. From other games you've said, Ben, or opinions on the other games that have similarities, does this one fall in that same camp? Or?
People I really like this game. And listening to what they say, I think you have to have a very specific group. If I could find that group, I'd be really interested in trying this.
Yeah, it is certainly on the heavier end of the medium category. I think maybe most people would even consider it heavy.
It's one of those games. it's one of those games I feel like you have to play 2 or 3 different games with different mechanisms to get you ready for this sort of game.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And it's some of the bookkeeping as well is a bit clunky, or like just the way that the turns play out. So you do this, and then that will kind of upgrade your dice, which will let you climb a track, which will let you do this, and you reset this. And sometimes you can get a bit lost in that and forget what you've done, what you haven't done. But I think the overall payoff warrants it, because the game play itself is that good, as you're building this big kind of almost like pyramid, really, like a South American pyramid, and you're trying to match up symbols and things. I think it's a really good game, and one of my favorites, really. 70, Clank, a deck building adventure. So this is the fantasy version of Clank, which is kind of a pushy luck deck builder. I played the space one, which I think is pretty much comparable. I felt very flatline for me. Didn't really interest me. I hated the artwork, hated everything about it, really. Not interested at all, and completely flatlined. Any experience with these ones?
It was mildly on my radar. I knew that some people had enjoyed it, and then I played Dune Imperium, his latest one. Suddenly, very interested in this. If I ever see this, because we'll talk about that later on. But I'm very interested in trying to find this.
Okay, cool. Is it the same designer? I didn't realize it was the same designer.
Yes, I think so. Yes, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting. Just go through a couple of comments. Ashley, thanks for joining us, Ashley. Glad to have you here. And I'm assuming you mean with Marco Polo. What about the second one? Yeah, I think you might have joined just as I said. The second one, I think, is even better than the first one. So maybe a matter of time before it starts overtaking it. But if you like it a little bit looser and a bit more synergized with each other, I think the second one's better. The first one's a bit tighter, but I think a bit more jarring in terms of the two parts of the game. And she's also said that you need to have the right people for a game of Clank. Yeah, so maybe I'm not one of those right people. Okay, let's crack on then. At number 69. Okay, so this is Robinson Crusoe, Adventures on the Cursed Island. So this is co-op, pretty heavy co-op, almost survival game that when I first got into the hobby, I was massively, this appealed to me massively. And as time gone on, I've just lost all interest in this one. No real desire to play this one at all, to be honest. Any thoughts on this one? What have you heard about this one, Ben?
I do remember this. This has always been, I might have been in gaming as long as you have, and this was always there as the one. Just, people say how difficult it is to beat, and you never win, and so, it's not. Yeah, that sounds miserable. So,
yeah, and I find is this? I can't think of the designer. Is this not Vlada Fotel, is it? I don't know.
I don't think so.
No. Okay, maybe I got that wrong. Okay, so yeah, one that just isn't really my cup of tea. 68, Race for the Galaxy. This is a kind of a hand management tableau building game with probably some of the worst iconography, rules overhead, or initial rules dump that I've ever played in my life. One of the hardest games to understand. Have you played this one, Ben, or does it appeal?
Yeah, I like this game. This is my stuff. I do like it. People revere this as maybe one of the best examples of this game. I don't know if I've got that far, but I do really like this game. Yeah, but I've never had to explain the rules, and I wonder if that would change my perception.
Yeah. So this is a weird one, because I think maybe objectively the rating deserves more. Because I really do appreciate the design. Loads of combos, some clever card play. Again, uses that Puerto Rico system where you pick a role, everyone else gets to follow it. One of my favorite mechanisms. But some of the symbology, all the contrasting things really did put me off. And I thought, because I play games so kind of big gaps in between them, that relearning this after playing it after a while was just a big turn off for me. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why it's a 6 and not any higher. And Ashley, thank you for reminding me. It's Ignacy Trzewiczek. Yeah, thank you. Okay, let's crack on then with another Uwe Rosenberg game. Haven't played this one. Fields of Arle. I think this is a 2-player only one. you know what differentiates this one from the others, or not? Another fun.
No, I don't. I've been trying to keep an eye out for it. Really hard to find this one.
Okay.
There was something about it. Again, someone who I like. I can't remember who it was. I tend to watch lots of reviews, and if I hear someone say this is a good one, I put it on a list somewhere. This has been on a list for a while. People quite like this one.
Yeah, I know it is popular amongst those who enjoy his games. It's considered one of his better ones. Okay, talking about the West Kingdom, number 66 is Paladins of the West Kingdom, and I will say out of all of them, this one is the one that I think potentially could be more for my tastes. One of the things I really took away from this one was that it looked or instantly reminded me of Orleans, about this kind of placing workers on the board and triggering things. I think it's the heaviest of the three. I could be wrong on that as well, but still yet to find the Shem Phillip games that I really enjoy. But does this one appeal any more or less than the others to you, Ben? Or
no, I did. They look cool, right? They're super popular. But yeah, I'm not really that interested in those.
Okay, fair enough. 65 Aeon's End. I will say I don't really know anything about this game at all. Do you know anything about it?
Neither do I. How is that? What is this game?
I've heard it talked about, but I automatically switch off when I don't know why. Maybe it's the name. So, mages defend humanity's last city, harnessing alien powers to destroy monstrosities. Yeah, that doesn't sound like my cup of tea. So, I think moving.
I've actually never heard of this game. How is it? That's weird. Okay.
Moving swiftly on then. 64 as well. Another one of the pioneering deck building games, or no, I think it's more of a battling card game. Is it? Android Netrunner. No knowledge of this game whatsoever. Did this one capture you at all when it was big at the time? I think it's out.
It did. I bought it. I tried reading the rules. I tried getting people into it. It's just dense. It's a dense game.
Okay. Not worth that overhead, or not worth that front loading.
I know for a fact that people got really, really into it. It became almost a way of life game. And so I was quite interested in that, quite excited. But yeah, I just couldn't get in there. Couldn't get my foot in the door.
That's the impression I got as well, was that this is again a really lifestyle game. People who love it, it's pretty much the only game they play. So Android Netrunner. Ashley, I think she's shed some light on Aeon's End. So it's a co-op deck builder, but you don't shuffle your deck. Okay, interesting. I kind of like that mechanism. A lot of games use that when you've got to play things in a certain order. Okay, interesting. Okay, something completely different. 63. Crokinole. Dexterity game. I think it's kind of like is it like a bowls mechanism, trying to get things closer to the middle? I don't know how it plays.
Yeah, there's a hole in the middle, in the bullseye is getting it in the middle. But yeah, it's about getting it close, and yeah, it's great. This is a great game.
Oh, okay.
Huge table presence. It's massive.
Yeah, they are obviously quite luxury items by the look of it. These boards are
very much so.
Yeah, but I'd happily try it. But normally these kind of things are a one and done for me. Like I play them, happy I played them, and then no real incentive to go back to play them again.
I tell you what, it's great. It's I've never seen them, or haven't seen many in Britain. I've seen loads in North America, where they have lots of space, so they can just have it set up or have it somewhere, and they have cabins. And this is very much a cabin. They'll have those out in the woods somewhere, so quiet Saturday afternoon. They'll bang this around. It's great for that.
Yeah, interesting. What are your thoughts on this one being on the board game top 100? Do you think it's fitting?
That's a great question. I don't know. It depends. It's a great game. I really enjoy it. It's fantastic. It's massively accessible. Anyone can play it. Age, no barrier. It's a great game. Is it a board game? I don't know.
Yeah, it just seems funny that we go through all these games and then all of a sudden there's this. It just doesn't seem to fit. But I suppose I haven't played it, and I suppose we talk about all other things that are little dexterity games. So I suppose this one fits the same category. And Mackenzie from Side Game, thanks for joining us, Mackenzie, says it reminds him of classic parlor games like billiards. Yeah, it kind of gives off that impression.
Like it should have a whole room built around it.
Yeah, exactly. And Silver Coin, Age of Monster Hunters. Thanks for joining us, and glad to have you here. Okay, and here we go as well from Side Game, saying the majority of negative reviews for Crokinole are people saying it's not really a board game. But I suppose again, why would this not be a board game when something like what's it called, like Ice Cool or something like that is? It's just a more.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, 62. I think we'll move on because there is a newer version of it further up. That's Through the Ages. The first.
I'm having a philosophical existential crisis here. Is it a board game? I don't know. It's like is poker a board game? I don't know.
I suppose why wouldn't it be? Yeah, I think it would be. Yeah. Okay. 61. Lisboa. So Vital Lacerda, very heavy Euro game designer, extremely involved, complex mechanism within mechanism style games. Haven't tried this one. I've only ever played one of his. That's not true. Kind of one and a half of his games. So I played The Gallerist, and I'm not sure that's higher up or not. And Mercado de Lisboa, which is kind of one mechanism from Lisboa. So I can't really testify if this is good or not. I know this is one of his most popular ones. Have you played any Vital Lacerda games?
I have. Not this one.
Okay. So again, popular amongst his fans. So I can't really comment because I don't really know how the game works functionally. 60. Quacks of Quedlinburg. So this one's kind of shot up in the last couple of years.
What? This is 60? I hated this game. This was so... I did not like this game.
Why was that?
Okay, well, Gerald thinks it's because the guy who was explaining... We played it in the UK Games Expo, and Gerald is adamant it was because the guy didn't really explain it properly. But I just sat there and just put things in bag, pulled things... It was just... I did not enjoy it at all. It was poor, really poor. I did not. I was really interested in this game because it's an award winner, really popular. No, never. Straight off the wish list, binned it.
So funny enough, I had the complete polar opposite reaction to you. So this one was I got this one to the table way after a lot of people did. It already got that kind of massive peak of popularity. Everyone talking about it, everyone playing it. I had still yet to do so. We went to a games night, got this one to the table, had it taught to me, and I had an absolute blast. And it was an instant hit for me, and I kind of haven't looked back since. So I don't know. I really like it, but I tend to like these kind of push your luck style games anyway. But there we go. Just go to a few comments. So Silver Coin saying, fun fact that Android Netrunner is the most expensive game in its collection. I think that one's again completely not being supported anymore. And I don't know, is it like a collectible game or is it like a preset deck thing?
I think you can buy expansion packs for it, to change things up.
What, like more like a living card game?
I think one of its strengths was that the deck was so unique and they played with each other in such unique ways that each expansion pack was basically a different style of playing. So you could buy a thing to change the way you were going to play. I know the initial ones were interesting themselves. The first two in the box, which were genuinely odd. You could mess with each other's decks, and it was really like an aggressive deck building sort of 2-player thing, and that's why I could never get it going. But they released quite a few things for it. Yeah.
Okay. And I think this is obviously talking about Lisboa. I'm actually saying it's her second favorite Vital Lacerda game. So interesting to see if your favorite will come up. Okay, let's move on then. So that was 60, Quacks of Quedlinburg. Very light game, doing extremely well and being a big hit for Wolfgang Wash. Number 59, Eclipse. Normally, sci-fi games are an instant turn-off for me. I don't really have many of them in my collection at all. And this is another example of that. Don't know what it is. I assume it's a 4X style game. Haven't played it. Have you played this one?
I know the boy on, I can't remember his name. He loved Twilight Imperium on the Dice Tower. And he absolutely despised this game. Sam, the skinhead guy. He absolutely hated this game. So that put me off. But now Eclipse 2's come out and it's raving reviews. Now I'm very interested again.
Okay. No problem. Yeah, so nothing to add on that one. Azul. Okay, Azul, another one.
5.5.
Yeah, this one really fell flat for me. And
Dan. Every bad one I've seen so far has come up in September 2020. Was it just a bad month?
So yeah, maybe. I think that was when I regraded all my ratings. But this one, I think it's fine. I think it's fine. And generally, as a rule, I love Michael Kiesling. I think he's a brilliant designer. This one, I think, was a victim of hype. So this one was so built up. I played this one way after everybody else did, and it couldn't live up to that hype. I think it's fine. No real interest in it. Haven't played any of the sequels, but obviously you feel different than I do.
Oh, I really like this game. Really like this game. Even when you go past the sort of, obviously this is an easy game, right? Take the tiles, but when you've played a few more games together and start getting a bit more juicy with each other, it's still good. If you get the right level of player, really good.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Just got a couple of comments here. Richard, thank you for joining us, Richard. He said he wondered for a while whether the Lacerda games have been on my top list. I think you've hit well for me if I try a few more. And Mercado Lismo is not a real Lacerda game. Yeah, I completely agree with that last comment. For some reason, I played one of his games, which I think is higher up on the list, and that was really not a hit for me at all. I think it might have been a big part because the teach just didn't land. And it was a bit too much for me at the time. Talking about that game, number 57, The Gallerist. Another Vital Lacerda game about running an art gallery. Is this one of the ones you played, Ben, or not?
No, I think I may have made a misspoke here a second. I've got the designer wrong. I wonder if I've ever played actually one of his games.
Okay, so this one, this is a game where you are basically running an art gallery. You're trying to kind of increase the popularity of some artists and I kind of forget everything, but this is, I probably played this about 5-6 years ago. I had a terrible teacher this one. It went on for far too long. I think the teacher didn't really have a clue what they were doing, and that rubbed off on us as well. But I think this was the kind of traumatic event that really disturbed me off Vital Lacerda games. So, unfortunately, I've rated it a 5, but I would try this one again to see if it did change. But I just remember not enjoying that experience at all. Number 56, another Vital Lacerda game. Which I haven't tried, so I can't comment on that one. 55, Le Havre. This is, I think, one of the better Uwe Rosenbergs that I played. A game that really does shower you in resources, but this one, I really struggled with the whole feeding your worker thing. It felt like most of the game I was just feeding, and it just didn't land. Have you played this one, Ben, or is this one of the Rosenbergs you like?
No, I haven't. I'm sick. This is one of those that comes and goes into my consciousness. This was Tom Vassal's number 1.
That's right.
A couple of years ago. I don't know. It's sometimes I'm interested, sometimes I'm not. If I'm leaning more towards a sort of Euro-y style, this climbs onto my radar. It's not at the moment, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I do recall thinking it was a good design, but it just felt like I'd never really had enough opportunity to do what I wanted to do and was forced to do the whole feeding thing, which seems to be one of the kind of talking points of a lot of his games. A couple of comments here. Voiter, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. I'm saying for Azul, he thinks Summer Pavilion, the third one, is more gamey of the 3. Have you dived into any of the other Azuls, Ben, or just the original?
We have the second one, the stained glass window.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's not great. I think my wife quite likes it, but it's not. The first one was super simple. That's its magic, and the nice little pieces. The stained glass window, they look like boiled sweets. It's not. That's not the same. So we're sort of we're thinking about the third one, whether to go for it or not. Now we are. Thanks very much, Peter.
Best of Star Trek, thanks for joining us. Saying hey everyone, and that he likes Azul as well. So Azul is awesome. Okay, let's crack on then. So that was 55, Le Havre. 54, Star Wars Imperial Assault. I think this is a miniatures skirmish game. I think you can probably think what the rules are like for the game like that. Am I wrong? Are you a Star Wars fan, Ben? I'm not
Oh,
particularly.
I could talk about Star Wars. We could scrap this and I could take 2 hours. I could talk about Star Wars. This game, I did not like this game. We bought it. There was 4 of us, all Star Wars fanatics. It's not a cheap game. That's why the 4 of us bought together and started with trying to do the app. We used the app. It's an app. You can use the app as the sort of, I guess you'd call it the GM. Garbage. Just the worst. We spent a good half of the time trying to decide what the AI was trying to make us do. Like, this stormtrooper moves there and he doesn't move there. It was so bad. And then another guy said, well, I'd be interested in playing. So I went to become GM. And so I was laying it out. And I'm very much balls to the wall. This is Star Wars. It's going to be super exciting. I'm just going to throw stuff. Let's be really quick. And again, 50% of the time was spent working out, does this line of sight work here? Does that work there? Or this guy's going to move 3 spaces and then he's going to go pew, pew. It was so bad. I really, really didn't like it. And this is just probably the only time since then that I have considered looking at a sort of dungeon crawlery game is Gloomhaven, because it gets up, as far as I can work out, it gets away from all of that. I'd be really interested in that. But yeah, this game, no, wasn't
That's sad to hear as well. When you say you're such a big fan of the IP, you probably really wanted to like this game, and that's the most deflating experience when it's not that good.
I'm very much a sort of slow, gradual build up. But as GM, I had Darth Vader on the table in the second mission. So what? And the heroes were only 20 feet away. So Darth Vader's going to force choke you all because he's the best Jedi ever. They run away. This is what is going on here.
Okay, that's a no for Star Wars Imperial Assault.
Yeah.
53 mechs and minions. So pretty big programming style game. Don't know how this one plays. Never really took my fancy. Know much about this one, Ben, or not?
David loves it. Absolutely loves it. It goes crazy for it. I've never tried it, and I'm not a really. It's like a tunnel fighter thing, isn't it? That you're sending minions down the tunnel.
Right.
Don't know.
Yeah, I know it's really applauded for its production value to cost ratio. I think it's like a multi-billion-dollar company who published it. Okay, 52 Clans of Caledonia. This one was a bit of a disappointment for me. Very kind of a farming style game that uses a lot of the mechanisms made famous in Terra Mystica. I really wanted to like this one, as you put stuff on the table and you can get kind of upgrades and things. This one, another example of just flatlining for me. It really didn't have its peaks and lulls. It was just very, very boring, I thought. But despite that, it was a well-designed game, but I just didn't really find it terribly fun.
This is one of those. If you like this sort of game, this is your jam. Like Terra Mystica, that's your jam. This is not my jam at all. Not at all.
Yeah, if you don't like those games, yeah, you will not like this.
No.
Okay, 51. This is a game that consistently I hear people rave about. PAX Pamir 2nd Edition. So this is kind of a historical area control style game, but quite a minimalist one.
Have you played the PAX games?
Not played a single one.
I've played Pax Porphyrion. That's the one I've played quite a lot of. I would hesitate to call them games. They are more like role-playing experieces. They're extraordinary. Pax Porphyrion is an extraordinary game. The level of detail on the Phil Eklund has some issues. I think is widely publicized, but what he does with just a deck of cards and cubes is ridiculous. I don't know how his brain works, because the PAX games are astonishing. There's this one and PAX Renaissance. Really want to try those games, but I'd be really cautious about trying to get people to play them, because they are very heavy, very unique, should we say?
Right. Interesting. I think this is another example of me wanting to try this one, but probably not picking it up myself. 50 Seventh Continent. This was really the hot game about, again, 5 years ago when this came out. Massively expansive game where you're exploring into new tiles and things. Kind of almost like a point-and-click adventure style game that's got hundreds of hours of gameplay. I think we said before, Ben, these kind of longer commitment games aren't normally our jam. Is this one an exception to that, or is it the same?
No. I actually had a bit of an argument with someone on Facebook around about the time this came out. I think they were spending $1,000 on this game. Like, that is crazy. Yeah. That's nuts. Back when that was, that's when you could spend $25 or $30 on a full game. $1,000 was a lot of money.
Yeah, that's mad. Okay, so yeah, I mean, really ambitious design, and one that I kind of give credit to, because I love it when people try new things and kind of are unbounded by their kind of imagination, but not my style of game. Kingdom Death Monster, another game I know nothing about. It kind of fits that other category. I can't remember the game that came up earlier that we said these games come up, we look the other way. I think this is another example of that. I think more of a lifestyle game. I think people who love this, one of the only games they play. I know Mackenzie from Side Games is a fan of this one. Is this one any different from all the others for you, Ben, or is it just another example?
I would own it. You're talking about these ones. The seventh, the one was Tainted Grail, and I think of all of them, this one. If we had a few beers and down somewhere, and someone slapped us on the table and said, "Right, we're gonna," I'd be I'll give it a swing. I wouldn't own it. It's not something I would try and teach and bring to the table.
Okay. I always got the impression that Kingdom Death Monster was a massively heavy game, but I could be wrong on that.
I think it's involved. Right. I think it's involved. Yeah.
Okay. Ashley's saying that she's never played it, but she's got Townsfolk Tussle in the mail the other day, and supposedly they're quite similar. I don't know if they are or not. I know Mackenzie.
This is Ashley. I know Ashley. Ashley has a lot of games. So yeah. Okay, that's probably true.
Okay, cool. All right, 48, Power Grid. One of the old classic Euros we were talking about earlier with a game like Caylus. This one is another very mathematical, economical, cutthroat style game about auctioning for these kind of power stations and increasing your presence on the board, but almost mathing things out to the nth degree. I think this game is so different and one that really does hold up well. Very dry, very, not going to really draw a lot of people in if this isn't your forte. But I don't know. I think people could have a lot of fun with this one, even if they don't think they could. But any interest?
This was one of the. This is seared into my mind. This game, because after Catan, you play Catan. Like, oh my god, what's going on here? I went and did a bit of research and found this one, and so bought this. And tried to read the rules and just bounced off so hard. I just could not get my head around what was going on. And I just sold it on. So yeah, it was not, didn't go down well with me. And I've never tried it since.
Okay. I would recommend that you do so. I think it does hold up really well for a game that came out, again, 16, 17 years ago. I think it's a brilliant game. So that's Power Grid. Still regarded as one of, if not the best Friedemann Friese game, a designer I really like, actually. Another game from the Italian designers, Simone Luciani and Daniele Cini. This is Tzolk'in the Mayan Calendar. Believe it or not, this was actually the first ever worker placement game that I played, and it's still probably my favorite of that genre. What a game this is. Brilliant. Pretty simple game on the face of it. Collecting resources, building buildings, getting points different ways, climbing tracks. But this gear mechanism where the longer you leave things on the board, the bigger rewards you get and bigger payouts you get. Fantastic unexplored mechanism. I think this game is fantastic.
I think Gerald has this, and he's saving it for a special day.
Okay, I think you'll like it because literally mechanically with gears in this game, it's as good as it gets. Just brilliant. The whole new element of time and the worker placement is just epic. 46, Anachrony. Don't know much about this one other than what Mackenzie's told me. David Terzi game, I think is his highest rated game. Mind Clash design, pretty full on, I think, uses this kind of loan system that's supposed to replicate this time travel.
I'd be really interested. I know the board game snobs love this game. I'd be really interested in understand how the time travel thing works, But yeah, you can't find this game. This is insanely rare.
Yeah, I think they might be able to get hold of it on a kind of a Kickstarter pledge manager.
Okay.
Yeah, but I didn't realize it was that hard to get hold of either. But I want to try it. Want to try it, and hopefully in the near future, I will. And Ashley saying that she loves the gear mechanic in Zolkin as well. Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant and completely unreplicated. So yeah, love it. Number 45, Underwater Cities. Engine building galore. Building a city underwater. Constantly getting cards to increase your engine, make yourself more efficient. Get abilities that nobody else has. Cards galore. Everything all over your table. This is a very sprawling game, but ultra satisfying game. This one really was a home run for me. Again, more worker placement, but this new idea of mixing worker placement with hand management is when you go to a certain spot, you could pair that with a card and then get both benefits. That for me was really fascinating. And thoughts?
His games. I've never played this one. I'm actually looking through his list of games right now. All of the games that he's done, I'm really interested in, and yeah, I haven't tried any of them. The Last Will, that's one I've been trying for a long time, and there was Pulsar 2849. Yeah, I really would like to try his games, but I never have got around to it.
Yeah, funny you say that actually, Ben. So this year was when I first, Praga was the first game I tried of his, which was actually his most recent one. And apart from Messina, which came out this year or last year now, that really was the catalyst for me to go back and try his back catalogue. So I tried Pulsar, I tried Underwater Cities, and they're all like 8.5, 9s out of 10s. He's that brilliant. So I think if you like this style of games, the kind of, I don't know, they're kind of like quite dynamic Euro games. I think you're bound to like it. But hey, Richard says he don't like David Terzi games as a rule, but Anachrony was actually great. Interesting comment there, because again I'm somewhat hot and cold on Terzi designs as well. Okay, 44, Barrage. One of the only 3 games to write a 10. Yeah, this game utterly blew me away. This is absolutely outstanding. Nothing else like this. Do you know much about this one?
Oh yes, I know this game. The snobs love this game, and I think Gerald has also just got this game. David or Jack, I can't remember. So yeah, I'm really excited to try this as well.
Yeah, this is kind of a throwback to those older Euros. I think what I love about this game is the fact that despite being relatively heavy, all the actual mechanisms aren't really what kind of takes you away from the game. You really are focusing on that current board state and reacting to it, and the mechanisms just kind of facilitate that. So it really is about, again, building dams and collecting these water to harvest it into power, but then building higher up the mountain and spending more to cut people off and trapping the water before it gets to the other players. Just such an innovative design, and just as good as it gets for me. Perfect 10. Adore it. Amy says, "Oh my god!" Sorry, Ashley. "Oh my god, a 10." Yeah. So one of the only 3, but she says it is too mean for her. Yeah, it is pretty mean, but I suppose once you get in that mindset, if you get in the mindset before the game starts, this is going to get nasty. Let's just accept it. Then I think you can enjoy Barrage. Silvercoin said Barrage was selling at Essen next to their stand. So yeah, great. Hopefully, you had a successful mention. Let's crack on then. So at number 43, The Crew, Quest for Planet 9. This one blew up a couple of years ago. Have you tried this one, and are you a fan of trick-taking or not?
I absolutely love trick-taking games. I've bought this, but again, I want to get the right group together, because we want to sit through and do. I've read the rules. I want to get down and I want to. Gerald hates trick-taking games, and I don't realize people didn't like trick. I thought people just liked trick-taking games. So I need to find the right little group of people. I think I might have them, but they like heavier games, and I need to try and edge this in slightly. So I'm trying to plan out when to get this going. But yeah, I am very much looking forward to this game. I'm shocked by the 5.
Yeah. For me, this is a game I appreciate, but in practice, I don't really enjoy it that much. It's quite, to be honest, trick-taking is a whole kind of category of games that doesn't really gel with me. I don't really quite understand it or understand the nuances of it. Maybe I'm just too stupid for it. I don't know. But I don't think it's all it's made out to be. Again, another game I appreciate, but not quite for me. I know my brother absolutely adores this game, but I think everybody else kind of struggles to appreciate it. But maybe it's just not a right fit for our group. 42, Pandemic Legacy Season 2. So we already talked about Season 0. Again, I think we both said that we've not tried any of the Legacy games, and I'm lukewarm at best on Pandemic. So haven't tried this one. Mansions of Madness, 2nd edition. Suppose we talked about Journeys of Middle-earth. Not my cup of tea again, and I assume the same for you, Ben. You said another two.
If I had a group that said, "Oh, I want to try role-playing games," all I've played so far is board games, this is probably the one I would pick up and say, "Right, let's just try this first and see how we go with that sort of more interactive narrative sort of going along." So it's always been on my sort of radar, but I've never had that group yet.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I know the app's supposed to be absolutely fantastic, and I think some of the puzzles are supposed to be good as well. So maybe a good hybrid of, again, that storytelling and some puzzliness as well. 40, Eclipse, Second Dawn for the Galaxy. Oh, okay, this is, I assume, is the sequel to Eclipse. Again, I didn't realize this one shot up so quickly. 2020 game, already at number 40. Impressive, to say the least, but don't know anything about it.
Shut up and sit down. We're glowing about it, so I think that has an effect.
Okay. Yeah, seems to be the case. 39, Too Many Bones. This is kind of a more involved dice-driven game. I think this is quite rules-heavy. One that I'd like to try, actually. Again, I know Mackenzie likes this one, but I can't really see it fitting in my shelf very well. And I know if I got this, I'd never really bring it off. But do you tend to like more involved games using dice as a mechanism? Is that kind of randomized?
No, I don't. Nothing like this, really. If I was gonna, I think this is like a miniatures game.
I thought it was just pure dice, like tons and tons of dice, but
I don't know. No.
There might be miniatures. I'm not sure. I'm sure someone in the chat will know.
Maybe I think of Rum and Bones. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, that's more of a miniature pirate fighting one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 38, Maracaibo. This is by far my favorite Fister game. This one for me is a real kind of kitchen sink of mechanisms, and kind of takes all the. It's always like Frankenstein's monster of all his other games. It takes a bit of this from Mombasa, a bit of this from Great Western Trail, and so on. And I think it just works together brilliantly. What a brilliant game! Climbing tracks as you expect. Multi-use cards. So you've got to manage your hand. Am I going to use it for the ability? Am I going to use it to cash in to fulfill quests? Almost like a rondelle system as well. You're traveling from port to port, which dictates the speed of the game. This one, again, is a kitchen sink style game that I can never really see myself getting bored of. I like it that much. Brilliant game.
This is on my radar slightly because of all the controversy that it attracted. So I never really went for it.
Okay, well, I don't know what the controversy was.
Oh, really? There was a strong colonial imperialism miasma around it, so I never really took much notice.
Okay. Oh, there's plenty of other games that use that, but fair enough. Okay, number 37, Marvel Champions, the card game. So this is the living card game, kind of like the next in the series of living card games. There's the Arkham one, there's the Lord of the Rings one. I think there's even a Game of Thrones one. Have you tried any of those systems or not?
No, this is not my sort of thing.
Yeah. Funny enough, these are actually games that I think are really good. So I've only ever played the Lord of the Rings one, kind of, and I think mechanically, again, fantastic game. But the problem with it is that you need to constantly start increasing your collection, keep buying new missions and buying new characters and stuff. And for me, that is a big turn off now. But objectively, I think the design is fantastic, just not quite right for my collection because I won't play with the same people or get invested in it. But I think if you like solo games, these are really good options because they're pretty deep, loads of variability, and just generally well designed games. 36, we already talked about Agricola. I think we might have talked about a different edition of it or something.
It's there again.
Yeah, I don't even know what the difference is between this one and the other one we talked about. Okay, 35. Wow, I'm very surprised to see this one this high. 2020 release, Lost Ruins of Arnak. Now, this one is a strange one because I know we talked about a lot of these almost mid-weight worker placement games falling flat for me. This one is pretty much in that category. However, it did merge the deck building part of it as well quite well with that worker placement, and this one was surprisingly good, and it plays very succinctly, has a great kind of forward momentum where I think it's only like 4 rounds or something. First round you feel like you're not doing much at all, fourth round you're getting a ton of things done. So I thought it's actually a pretty good game, and I can see why this is popular. 35 best game of all time popular? I don't think so, but obviously I'm in the minority. But any interest in this one, or have you played it?
I have, because I bought it for my friend for his birthday. Because there is he's just getting into games, and I mean literally within since I've known him, I don't think he really played before. So I'm sort of trying to experiment with lots of things. He really liked some of the mechanisms in some other games, so I got him this one, and we're gonna get it to the table.
I'm sure it'll be a hit. I can't really see people disliking this one because it's just a pleasant game. Certainly doesn't outstay its welcome. Some Uranus with climbing tracks and things. Kind of the multi-use card thing works well. Again, the deck building's just enough. I think it's a very well-rounded game, and I can see why it's been popular. Just going to some comments. So Silvercoin saying that the Too Many Bones uses chips. So I think it's a chip theory game.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And he's also said that Maracaibo uses already proven mechanisms. And similar, well constructed as Arnak. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, there he goes.
Pardon?
There he goes. He's predicting the future.
Yeah, so exactly, taking things that already are proven to work. And Ashley is talking about Agricola, saying in the minority here that really dislikes Agricola, and he found it quite boring. She found it quite boring. Yeah, I've not played it, but that's generally how I feel about most Uwe Rosenberg games, unfortunately. Number 34. Blood Rage.
Oh,
massively popular in-your-face area majority style game with a Viking theme. 6s might sound bad, but for me, 6s are just above average. So I'm quite harsh on my rating. So don't take that as a negative. I think this is a good game. I had a good fun with it. I think the thing I didn't like about it was the combat resolution where you're just playing cards from your hand, kind of the high number wins thing. That feels a bit abrupt to me. But the rest of it, I liked the idea of maps being destroyed and different strategies you can take, and upgrading your clan. But the rest of it was just okay. Did you say you tried this one or not?
No, I haven't. I have not tried it. No, and this would be, if someone said which game do you want to try of Eric Lang's, it's actually Godfather, the ones that I really want to try.
Okay.
This would be. I'll give a go with this, but no, Godfather's what I really want to go at.
Yeah, Godfather was okay. That was quite a bit better than I thought it would be, actually. Okay, so that's Blood Rage, massively popular game. Again, I'm in the minority there. 33, Caverna, the Cave Farmers. So this is basically almost like a companion game to Agricola. However, this is widely considered as being a bit more forgiving and being able to achieve more than you can in Agricola. So I think out of the both of them, this is certainly the one that I would pick up when I eventually do, because I do want to try them, because I think they've reached that level of kind of critical acclaim where I need to at least give it the benefit of the doubt and give it a go to make my own opinion of it. And this is the one that I'd rather try. Out of the two, would you rather lean towards this one, or would you want the really hard version of Agricola?
No. This is, if they force me to play something like that, yeah, this would be the one. I've heard decently good things about this one, whereas not so much about Agricola.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm the same. And Silvercoin saying that he actually prefers Rising Sun to Blood Rage. I'm completely with you. I love the combat system in Rising Sun. Ashley's also saying that she preferred Rising Sun. So maybe Rising Sun is more popular than we realised. But there we go. Okay, so cracking on then to number 32. Food Chain Magnate. Okay. This is a game that really did not impress me, and not because of the game design. So the game design is actually pretty good. It's actually very good. This is as cutthroat as it gets. We've talked about cutthroat games. I've never played a game more cutthroat than this. before I go any further, have you played this one, Ben, or do you know how it plays?
No. I've never been part of a group that we've built up to this. No.
Right. Okay. So this one, if you can ever get sharked on a game, this is it. You know, you need to have the right teacher. So we had somebody teach us the game, and then all of a sudden, within the first turn, they've taken a strategy that's shut everybody else off, and you've got no way of recovering. You can be out of this game in the first 10% of the game and have no way of catching up. And
the teacher did that.
Yeah.
Dan, you don't play with those people. You take those people.
No, they're not like regular.
They're cut out of your life.
Yeah, I can't even remember who it was. It was from some random convention or something.
Oh, they're the worst.
Yeah, and that really did make me salty on this one. You need to be on a level playing field with who you're playing this with. If you've got a bunch of mates just chilling out, exploring the game together, then it's going to be great. But if you have that disparity in somebody who's inexperienced playing with someone who is experienced, then you've got zero chance of winning this game. Some really cool mechanisms in it, as you are kind of getting these milestones. If you're the first to do something, you can get something unique to you that nobody else can have. And they've only got like a very short time frame to get that. I really did like that. Graphic design and stuff I really don't like. And again, this one did leave a bad taste in my mouth because of my actual experience of it. But hey, I'll probably give this another go. With the right group, maybe it would increase a bit, but it was just a bad experience. 31, more Clank. This is Clank Legacy, Acquisitions Incorporated. I had no idea that this was ranked so well.
I didn't either. I didn't know there was a legacy version of it.
Yeah, I knew this was out there, but I thought this was just lingering somewhere in the 3,000s or something. I didn't realize it was.
I saw the word acquire. I got really excited for a second. Now, so.
Yeah. I don't know, or maybe obviously this one does the whole legacy thing quite well, and obviously Clank is popular, so they got a winning formula there. Coin says Food Chain Magnate gets a 4 because of the art, right, Dan? Not quite, Silvercoin. And I didn't like the ability that your game could be over in the first 10% of it. Okay, number 30, absolutely brilliant game. I think one of the highest ranked games over the eons of Board Game Geek. This is Puerto Rico. This is for me one of the definitive Euro games, one of the classics. Great interactive games. You're picking roles, getting a better version of that role, but everybody else gets a follow-up action. That's not quite as good, but they still can get use out of that. Have you managed to get this onto the table, Ben?
Yes.
Thoughts?
That's all I'll say about it. Yeah. This is. I do believe you can separate the gaming world into people who like this game and people who don't like this game, and that will tell you quite a lot about the sort of game that person's going to like from then on, sort of thing. If you like this, Euro games are going to be your thing. And if you don't like this, there are a whole world of Euro games you probably just shouldn't even look at. It's just I played it. It was fine. I can't say I particularly enjoyed it. I played it a few times, and each time it's like, yeah, okay, I'm not. You say highly interactive. I would consider this not very interactive. It's not. You just sort of choose a role. Okay, yeah, fine, and it was very much sort of toddled along. Didn't really.
Okay.
Not my game.
Okay, but I say interactive because this game, although it isn't such direct interaction, I think it's got a slightly different layer of interaction than a lot of other games do, where you've got to really consider about the position that other people are in to know when's the right time to pick a certain role. So that's why I say it's interactive, that you've got to consider about where the current player's current situation is. I think it's a wonderful game. I get a bit miffed at times, or a bit confused at times, when people really put a massive emphasis on the kind of, again, Puerto Rico sharks, saying that if they'll deliberately sit next to certain people so they can take advantage of them and stuff like that. I just saw that as a part of the game and not a negative, but that was just my impressions of it.
Oh no! This is the sort of game where I would have random seating. Like, you are going to be assigned. We're gonna roll dice or do something to organize seating, because it's too easy to. If you have the correct people in your right and your left, your games will be very different to if it was some other way. It's
true.
it's just a little bit too much for me.
Yeah, I get it. That's absolutely true. But yeah, fair enough. 29, Everdale. Another medium light kind of worker placement engine builder, little tableau building game. Very gorgeous to look at. I mean, this is one of the standout looking games. Absolutely beautiful. I thought it was fine. Family weight, generic, decent. Nothing really else to say. Thoughts like this one? Not like it?
I know David absolutely loved this game, but as time's gone on, I think, like you, I think maybe my interest wouldn't be, initially I'm really interested in it, but then it seems like one of those medium to lightweight. My daughter's just getting into gateway games. I told you before, she's getting into gateway games. So this would be maybe in a year or two, maybe think about that sort of thing. But yeah, at the moment, it's very light looks.
Yeah. This one took off massively, yeah. Mage Knight, game, no interest in whatsoever.
I am interested in this because this was it is a dungeon crawler, but as far as I can work out, it's extremely unique in the way it does things, and I am very interested in it. But I've never had a chance to find it. I've never really seen it.
Yeah, I've heard that the rules minutia in this game is paralyzing, massively. Very hard rules to get in your head. Constant exceptions, always referring back to the rule book, and that's normally a bit of a turn off for me now. 27, a game without much exceptions. This is Orleans, a bag building style game, which kind of mixed with worker placement as you're adding these tokens to your bag, drawing them out randomly, I suppose, and then allocating them to your board, and then choosing when to trigger them to climb tracks, to increase your ability to do things, make things more cheaper, more efficient, build buildings for yourself. This game is brilliant. I've had this in my collection for many years. Still love it. I would say if there's ever a game that needs an expansion to make it great, like takes a good game to make it absolutely brilliant, then it's Orleans with the Trade and Intrigue expansion. I know you say you're not a massive fan of these kind of dry Euros, but this one I think has that extra layer of fun that it can offer. And I've never really had a bad game with this one. Have you played it, or does it appeal to you?
No, it's been on my list for a long time, and it never comes up. I should point out, I say it again, I tend not to buy games brand new. I buy them secondhand. So I'm usually at the whim of the secondhand market. This guy never comes up, which is a sure sign that it's pretty popular.
Yeah, that's a good observation. Yeah, I never really see this game coming up secondhand. But yeah, it's a fantastic one, and a bit like I mentioned earlier, Grand Austria Hotel. There's a few games that I would use as kind of, if you don't like Euros or you've had a previous bad experience with Euros, give this one a go because I think you could like it. 26, Root. A game I'm fascinated by. Never played it. Certainly one that I really do want to try, but probably again not one that's right for my collection. But if I knew somebody who had this one, I would be more than keen to try it. Experience with this one, Ben?
So Gerald was okay with it. David absolutely despises this game.
Oh, okay.
And I bought it on a Steam sale because I was going to play online with a few of the guys. And as soon as I started playing it, this is just a war game. It's one of those card driven, just a little war game thing. And I think if you go in thinking it's going to be something else, that would drive you nuts. I think that's what happened with David. But yeah, as soon as I started, this is just war game. It looked really cool, but I think if this is your jam, there are loads of war games out there which do the same thing. Yeah.
I suppose this one does a bit of a good job of disarming you and misleading you what the game is about, I suppose. But
well, it doesn't look like a war game, really, does it? But as soon as you start, this is easy.
But yeah, one that I'd love to try it, but the idea of teaching everyone a different game before you get playing, that's a massive turn off.
You'd have to have 4 people who have read the rules and not required to teach it. Yeah.
Just comment there from Silver Coins, and it's a war game dressed up so people have the wrong idea. Yeah, exactly. It's good if people
Silver Age and me on the same.
So exactly what you said. Yeah. Because otherwise there's too much going on. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, Viticulture. Another one of my guilty confessions. Really, never played Viticulture. never really had the urge to, because I've heard that there's some significant randomness in some of these event cards or stuff that come out, and that was just a bit of a death knell for me. Never really interested in playing it. Have you played this one, or do you like
I
story?
love this game. Absolutely love this game. That card thing is true, but that's where I am. I like having a little bit of randomness in my game. I'm not arguing about the cards. I mean, I'm at the point now. I've played the game enough that I would probably take out cards I think are too overpowered, and just put them away. And if you want more cards, then build the buildings to get more cards and get more. You know, there is a way to do it. It's like I would say it's not quite deck building, hand management, because it is a bit more random, lucky than that. But it's in the same sort of realm. I absolutely love this game. This is, I consider, one of the best.
Okay, interesting. That's kind of piqued my interest a bit more, because we had the exact same opinion on some of those other, again, mid to or midweight worker placements. Whereas this one, again, I generally hear people love it, and maybe my concerns are not warranted. So yeah, Viticulture number 25. 24, Arkham Horror.
Can we just pause a second?
Yeah.
Peter just pointed out the Viticulture base game is great. It is great, but with the Tuscany expansion, it is outstanding. And he's absolutely correct. Tuscany. The funny thing about Viticulture, it's been through 3 or 4 editions, and each one is significantly different. And I would say now, finally, if you were to consider Viticulture as with the Tuscany expansion, oh yeah, absolutely brilliant game.
Yeah, I've heard that one is an essential expansion. So yeah, I'd obviously try it with that. Yeah, I want to try it, but again, maybe someone else's copy. Okay, 24, Arkham Horror, the card game. So this is basically another version or another themed of the Marvel Champions game. I believe it's the same designers, same company, and everything. So we kind of covered that. We haven't played them, or I've played the Lord of the Rings one, and good for what they are, but not quite my jam now. 23, Wingspan. Ben, you want to take the lead on this one? Have you played Wingspan?
I've never played it, but
Okay.
it's definitely approaching, because, again, like Everdell, I think this is going to be perfect for... she's 8. She's just getting into things. She can play Ticket to Ride, and this will be the next step up from those games. So, yeah, it's definitely on my radar.
Yeah, it's good for what it is. Certainly hyped to the nth degree now. Massively maybe blown out of proportion. I definitely don't think it's the 23rd best game of all time. But we were talking at the start of the show about winning formulas, beautiful production, lovely theme that's going to be welcoming to a lot of people. It just seemed to get that recipe just right for a big hit, and that's kind of really led the fold for a lot of other these nature style games to come out and follow and try to capitalize on the success. But for a mid to lightweight engine building game, it does what it does pretty well. And I enjoyed my plays of it, but didn't really see it sticking around.
I think for us withered souls, Dan, this is but I am genuinely shocked how many people this game has got into the hobby. More than I've ever seen Ticket to Ride, or people that I used to, Facebook friends, whatever, will suddenly take photos and it's Wingspan. I'm like, oh my god, when did this happen? They go, oh yeah, we bought it the other year. Yeah, this is a huge. This is responsible for a massive number of my friends getting into board games.
Yeah, brilliant. That's really good to know that this is a good game as well. So it's got that perfect recipe of being a good game, and it's not gonna do the hobby a disservice and still be massively popular. So brilliant, and full props. Mm-hmm. 22, more Uwe, A Feast for Odin. So this one is a strange game. So one that is massively sprawling, options galore, almost the complete polar opposite of what you'd think a worker placement game would be, because there's so many options at all times. For me, that was the kind of problem with it. I did like it. It was never going to be one of my favorites, because I think this game could have benefited from a good edit, a good portion of the game being taken out of it. I know a lot of people like that kind of sandboxy nature of it. For me, it wasn't really a positive for the game. Thought it was fine, but was never going to be amongst my favourites. Out of the UVAs, is this one that appeals or not?
No, I have seen this. It looks borderline overwhelming. Like I think about trying to teach this game. Oh, it's just.
Okay.
I can imagine it sitting. If I bought it, it would sit in my shelf and think, oh yeah, one day I'll get down and I'll have the spare, 90 minutes to go through all this stuff. So, yeah, I don't know if I have that space in my life.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it is certainly an intimidating game. Loads, massive table hog, tons of resources, tons of worker placement spots. But despite that, it's actually not that bad to teach. But because the game is so wide, but I don't think it's terribly deep. I really don't think the synergies and all the way the different parts of the game, they don't merge with each other as well as I would have liked. It's more just kind of like a buffet of options rather than having a really well synergized game. But again, that's probably controversial. People love that one. Number 21, Dune Imperium. So you mentioned this one earlier, Ben. So I don't know much about it. So take the lead.
I love this game. I cannot. I was lucky enough. Dave and Cheryl bought it for my birthday. Got delivered here in the Czech Republic. It was quite difficult to get it. Absolutely love this game. I am just enthralled. It's just extraordinary. I love the Dune universe. I was reading it. I've read it. I'm one of those fools who have read the entire series 2 or 3 times. So I'm already buying. But when we're playing it, I'm getting other people. Oh, there's Gurney Halleck and there's this Princess Irulan. And no one cares. But I just absolutely love it. And the systems that play, it's putting the workers down. Trying to explain the game isn't too difficult because you only start with 2 workers. I'm like, don't worry, they will. You'll get it as you go along because we're gonna put 2 down and we're gonna work it all up. And I could explain this. I've explained it to new players 2 or 3 times now, and just for a game that has that sort of interactivity, depth, the pleasant systems, everything's working nicely. It is quite easy to teach. This is hands down one of my favorite games of all time. Brilliant, love it.
High praise. I've heard it's rather nasty, quite take that-ish. Is that the case or not?
Now, no, because and I know I am cautious about conflict games because I'm one of those people that dislikes the games where if A fights B, then C is going to wipe the floor because they've exhausted themselves.
Yeah.
Dune handles it differently in that you can always see what troops you have. You can add troops to your barracks, but you can add troops slowly. There's an area where you have the fight. It's like a battlefield, I would guess. And you can add troops. You can take them away, and you'll always have troops in your barracks, but you might not have them. And you're only going to do this 10 times. So it's not devastating. If you lose, it's not the end of the world. You still can get back in it next game. No, this is one of the best ways I've ever seen that sort of conflict. 'Cause it's exciting as well. The conflict is super exciting. I love this game. It's absolutely brilliant.
Well, there you go. Can't get better praise than that.
No.
20, Brass, Lancashire. Not played this edition of Brass. I've only played Birmingham, which, spoiler alert, I think is higher on the list. So I'll save my thoughts to that one. But any experience with the Brass series?
I've never played these games, no.
Okay, we'll move on then, and we'll talk about Brass a bit later. Concordia. Okay, so this, mate, I always say that this is, I think from a design standpoint, objectively one of the best games ever made. I don't think there's any improvement that could be made on this game. I think it's marvelous. This is a kind of a card-driven game as you're taking actions by playing them, but having to, once you play those cards, they're discarded, but you have to pay another card to pick them all back up, and you're incentivized to play through all your other cards. Love the interaction in this game where getting somewhere faster is going to be more profitable because it's going to cost other people more money for doing so, and also getting resources can help other people as well. So I like this positive layer or level of interaction in this game. I think it's fantastic. One of my favorite games ever, Concordia. Judging by that side, then Ben, is this one that's not for you?
I suspect I had the same experience as you did with what was it, the food chain magnet.
Right.
because this is one of the first games we'd all moved. I moved abroad. We all moved to the same building, and we just get to know each other. And that's all board games. And this guy had brought this, and we went around and played it with him. And he did the same thing. Showed us the rules, and then just hammered us. And I had this. And since he turned around and said, over a few weeks, we got much better at understanding, what's acceptable in these sorts of things. But yeah, since that first experience, it just didn't. I was like, this is not my thing. And it was okay. It was fine. I feel like I should like it because that card thing of having to spend a turn picking cards, I really like that. That's such a tension in your decision making. But yeah, I've never played it since, and
it's hard to come back.
It wasn't a good one. It was, yeah.
Okay, so we briefly touched on this earlier. Number 18, Terra Mystica, very Euro upgrade style game. As you have your player board with all your pieces on them, and you're putting them on the board. And when you put them on the board, you're kind of unlocking abilities and more income for yourself as the game goes on. Climbing tracks, terraforming the land so that you can inhabit it and build your buildings on, and all that kind of Euro goodness. I played this one for the first time this year. I thought it was fantastic. Really looking forward to playing more of it. Tons of kind of asymmetrical powers depending on which faction you are. But hey, this is one I can see is not for everybody. We talked about Clans of Caledonia earlier. I think, again, if you like one, you'll probably like the other. But weirdly enough, I really like this one, but I wasn't so keen on Caledonia. But did you say you played this one, Ben? Or
yeah, not at all.
Not for you.
Not for me. Gerald absolutely loves it, and he's tried so hard to get us to play it. And no.
Yeah. And Ashley said, Gaia Project is better for Terra Mystica for me. And I think the masses.
That's coming up, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's coming up. So we'll touch on that a little bit later. Okay, so that's Terra Mystica. Number 17, Nemesis. So this is kind of like the unofficial Alien game. I think it's got the hidden traitor thing that was kind of made popular by games such as Dead of Winter. Another game with massive miniatures. Other than that, don't know too much about it. Not normally the kind of games I play. Very, more American style mechanisms. Does this one appeal to you, Ben? More kind of.
No, if I was going to play aliens on a spaceship, it'd be Space Hulk, not this sort of thing. Okay,
cool. This one, 17th best game of all time.
People go wild for it though, so I don't know if it's. This is one of those. I think Kickstarter has a undue effect on it because this was huge, wasn't it? If I remember correctly.
This is probably the quintessential example of that Kickstarter bias, I suppose.
Ripple.
Yeah. So that's Nemesis. Yeah, can't really comment on that one. Number 16 though, we talked about Seven Wonders earlier. Seven Wonders Duel. This is the 2-player version of it. Still similar mechanisms, but you're drafting from a common supply from this kind of like pyramid system where you're picking things up and potentially revealing cards underneath it, which means there's more options to draft. I think this game is great. Been one of the big hits for me this last year. Surprisingly enough, actually, because I wasn't such a massive fan of the original. But I love the different options this game has. A lot of game in a 30 to 45 minute experience, and I'm constantly enjoying it. So, any preference of this one other than the original one or not?
Oh, a number of players. I'd be happy to play. I consider Seven Wonders Duel borderline genius. That tension of should I take that card so he turns it over, and the follow-on turns for the wonders become essential because if you cannot risk turning that card over in case if something bad is on the other side of it, I think that's one of the most genius experiences. It came out of nowhere as well. I've never really seen anything like it. But yeah, I absolutely love this game. Yeah,
utterly brilliant, to be honest. And I can see this one climbing even more, at least in my personal rankings. Stefan Feld. I think this is
Here we go.
I think this is the second Stefan Feld game since Trajan at number 100. So this is The Castles of Burgundy, by far his most popular game, at least in terms of popularity, sales, etc. Another dice-driven Euro tile placement game, combos galore, all that kind of stuff. I love this game. I think it's brilliant. Not a looker, and that's coming from me, and who likes that kind of style of look. But I think this game is fantastic. Strikes a great balance between being fun but still being Euro, and I think it's great. Do you enjoy that one or not, Ben?
I consider this comes from a time when games were play tested to the nth degree. Because, like you say, it strikes that. If you were to explain the game, you roll some dice, then you get to pick some shits, and then you can move them from here to here, and then you move them to here. Sounds so dull, so boring. But in effect, it's so perfectly balanced. That constant decision making. Like, do I spend the dice on this or that or this? Just fabulous. And it could have been too much, and it would have been a disaster, or it could have been too little and just been a sort of nah. It's absolutely perfect. You can clearly see it's been designed and gone through iteration after iteration after iteration to get it just right. I love this game.
That's a really good point, actually, because it does such a great job at using those dice to keep you on a little bit of a track, but with the option to divert a bit with those mitigation tokens. But if you don't have them, then you're doing what the game tells you what to do, and that just keeps the game ticking along so nicely. But even if you get shafted by that luck, you feel like it's your fault because you haven't got those workers in your supply. Brilliant game. Absolutely love it.
Even if you describe it, you think all the things, it must be overwhelming number of things. They call it a point salad. You won't keep track of, but it's so easy. It's just there are so many things going on, but it's such a narrow, like I say, keep it like a narrow track. Yeah, this is fantastic game.
And just a comment there about Seven Wonders Duel saying it's better with the Pantheon expansion because you can actually pause and not take cards, which is a really useful option to take at the time. Yeah, I really like that expansion. I don't think it's essential, but I think it's a welcome addition. Okay, then. So we're getting up to 2 hours now. I was trying to speed up for the last few here. So we got Scythe.
Oh.
This was a game that was the talking point. 2016. This was the game on everybody's lips, and I played this one way after everybody else, and I thought it was pretty damn good. Great game with fast turns, engine building, hybrid American Euro mechanisms. I liked it, and I didn't think I would. Enjoy that one or not, Ben?
No, I intensely dislike this game. I don't know why. I do know why. I remember I had such a visceral reaction to it, and everyone being so very positive about it, and I went. I said, I don't understand what's going on. First of all, I remember this set the tone for how to build hype about a game. Because I remember when the cover came out for this, I was blown away. I cannot wait for this game to come out. This is everything a board game should be. Giant, stonky, it looks absolutely brilliant. And they drip fed it out. This was when was this? 2016? This was the birth of the hype train. As far as I can remember, this was the one. Yeah. And then I played it. I was like, "What the hell is this?" Like, there's no. You go what? I want so the mech's gonna fight, and they're not gonna fight. They're not gonna fight. Oh, okay. All right, so we're not fighting. Okay. It was so bizarre. I think I went in with very different expectations, and then I came out and I tried it again the second time, and I don't know. This is a while ago. It's 5 years ago. But I came out and I read something about how people react to luck and how if luck is imposed on you, like at the start of the second game of Scythe, one of the guys got the perfect combination of starting position and faction. Does that make sense? Yes. And so that was luck that I couldn't do anything about. They just got that. Whereas opposed to, like you say, Burgundy, you roll the dice and then you can try and do something with it, right? Yeah. Which makes what I consider Burgundy supreme. That luck, I could do nothing about what he got there, and he just steamrolled us. And he said, "This is what I'm going to do." I remember him also looking around at everyone's board, saying, "Well, next turn you have to do that because that's what you can do." I thought, "What is this?" I absolutely hated that game, and I will never play that game again. There you go.
Yeah, I think if I ever got to play it at that level, I would instantly get turned off, like you said. But I've always played this game with people who are at the same level as me, don't really have a clue what we're doing, we just wing it. So I didn't really know enough detail to know who was at the advantage. So it would have been, it would have gone over my head, I suppose. Okay, number 13, Twilight Struggle. This was actually, I think, a former number 1 on Board Game Geek.
It was.
Yeah, I'd never played this one I'd love to try. But again, I think this is one where you want to have the same person to play again and again with to get the most out of it. And I don't think I hit the same game to the table enough times to get the most out of it. So that's probably why I've held back on that one.
The mechanism where you play a card, so the mechanism you have actions on top of the card and then an effect at the bottom of the card, and you can use the actions, but your opponent might be able to use the effect. That's my favorite mechanism, hands down. Absolutely love it. That constant, I really want the actions, but then this thing is going to be really good for you. Oh, I absolutely love that. That is, so I absolutely adore this game. Brilliant.
Do you think people can get a lot out of it from the first couple of plays, or does it really reward those repeated plays to get the peak out of it?
I think there's enough there that you would recognize things. So you would recognize the Vietnam War, you would recognize the space race, you would recognize these various things from history. And when they turn up on cards, that's quite a happy feeling. And then you try and play them, and you see how history and it moves from era to era, just like the Cold War. So initially it was in Europe, then it was in Southeast Asia, then it was in South America, then it was in Africa, and it moves around the board. It's such an enjoyable ride to go along with it. I don't know if I ever played a win. I really just enjoyed that playing against each other. Seeing what happens. This is a fabulous game.
Interesting. Yeah, I'd love to try it, but haven't done. 12, Great Western Trail. Definitely Fista's most popular game. I'm going to rate this from 7. I think it's good. I think it definitely lives in the shadow of Maracaibo. I prefer Maracaibo so much more than this one. So maybe that was the order I played it in, because I did play Maracaibo first. And then when I got Great Western Trail to the table, I thought, well, this is just not as good as Maracaibo. And I also think Mombasa's better. So for that reason, I get it at a 7. I didn't really have the incentive to go back and explore it more, because I like these other games that much more. But this is one of the most popular Euro games out there. Did you try this one, Ben, or not?
No, not yet.
Okay. 11, Spirit Island. This one was probably one of the hardest games I've ever had to rate, because the game design itself is so unbelievably clever and good, as you have these asymmetrical spirits trying to fight off these kind of invaders and use these powers, but you're working together and things trigger in different times and stuff. I am so bad at this game. The whole timing thing just completely melts my brain. Maybe that part of my brain doesn't get exercised very often, but really appreciate it. Generally, I don't love co-op games, and I'm actually, ironically, for a co-op game, this one I prefer to play solo, which I'm not a solo gamer at all. But it's a brilliant design, but I do worry that it's not for me, if that makes sense. But any interest in this one?
Oh yeah. This has been on my radar for a long time, and you never find this game.
Okay, well, I might have a copy coming up for sale soon if you want it.
Oh, hello. I'll make you a special offer.
Yeah,
mates rates.
If you like co-op games, or even like solo, it's as good as it gets, really. I cannot criticize the design. It's so clever. You're pushing things around and manipulating the board state. Some are really defensive spirits, some are really aggressive as you're blasting these people away. It's so dynamic and really puzzly, but that whole time thing, slow powers and fast powers, is mind-blowing. But yeah, great game. Moving on then. So I think we are getting into the top 10. 10, War of the Ring, second edition. This is really just a sign of me changing my mind over time. I used to love this game. Now I rate it a 6. I think it's probably the best Lord of the Rings game. But just not my style of kind of dice rolling combat and that kind of thing. It's really cool ideas. I think there's a lot of rules bloat in this game. It could have been streamlined more. Some of it isn't very intuitive. But the overall epicness of the game really does shine through. Any interest to get that onto the table?
I absolutely. But
okay.
I think you have to have a very specific opponent who's happy to go. And I don't really play many 2-player games. That's the issue. So yeah, I would love to do it. Yeah, just never got around to it.
Yeah, if you have that kind of big event game, you've got somebody who's equally as passionate, wants to get it played. You're both enthusiastic. You've got the time, no time restraints. Sink your teeth into it and enjoy yourself. Has that really cool system where you've got cards with events on them and cards that you can use in battle, but in order to use it, you're going to have to sacrifice the other power, which is really cool. Kind of suggests that Twilight Imperium,
Yeah.
Twilight
Twilight
Struggle
Struggle.
you mentioned. Yeah. So yeah, has some really cool ideas, but I thought a lot of these kind of event cards, were so circumstantial that they never really pulled off. But hey, a really ambitious design. Okay, number 9, Through the Ages, a new story of civilization. So this is the second edition of Through the Ages. Another massively ambitious game, civilization style game, as you are going through again the annals of time, increasing your technology, your culture, getting new leaders, going into new lands, and increasing your kind of capacity to do things. Loads going on in this game, very heavy, very involved. But again, another game, if you've got the right group, this is a really good one. But I always found this one just sat on my shelf because we never had that right group.
A guy explained this to me. We sat down at about midday on a Saturday, and by 1:30, we were ready to get started. What is going on?
Yeah.
So I went away. I think we played them. We then played for about an hour, and I think one of us had to leave, so we only got halfway, maybe through the first round. But we enjoyed the feel of it so much that we said, "Oh, we'll do it again." So I went away and read the rules, and we never got to the table again. And it's because it's a beast as well, and massive. So I started playing it on Board Game Arena. Hands down, this is the game I've played the most on that thing. I absolutely love this game. It is mesmerizing. I'm terrible at it. I don't understand how people can play it and get the just, and yet I still go back because I absolutely love this game. It's such a bizarre. It's so funny to try. Now I've played it a few times. It looks so easy. You try to explain to someone, yeah, quite a dense game. Yeah, I love this game.
Definitely agree. The latter plays, it feels like completely different than your first game, but that massive intake of rules. It's a lot to overcome, but worth it, I think. Definitely worth it. Okay, number 8, Star Wars Rebellion. Played this game a long time ago. Kind of not a massive Star Wars fan myself. As a Star Wars fan yourself, have you tried this one? Because this is considered the
Yeah, I know. I haven't really played many 2-player games. So this is no. This is a no. I would love to though.
Yeah, I mean, if you like the IP, I'm sure you'll like it. This is a big kind of cat and mouse style game. Obviously, one person's the rebels, one's the Empire. You're trying to go on this big kind of campaign and find out where they are. Lots of back and forth. Again, another epic game in scope. It's almost like the War of the Ring, but in the Star Wars universe, and that kind of feel and magnitude. But not my style of game. But I did appreciate it, despite not being my tastes. Number 7, Gaia Project. So this is, we talked about Terra Mystica. This is the sci-fi version of it. I know there's supposed to be a lot of improved mechanisms. I don't know what they are. I've had them explained to me, but not knowing it is different. So can't really comment. I like Terra Mystica. I assume if you like one, you like the other. But there we go. Would you try this one despite not liking Terra Mystica, Ben?
It would take some serious persuasion.
Okay. No worries. Number 6, Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. Okay, so this is a game I really wanted to try for a long time because I'd heard it was obviously a dungeon crawler, and it has some surprising Euro twist on it. First off, have you tried any of the Gloomhavens yet, Ben?
No, I'm saving myself like this. Usually I'll have a little look. I want this to be full on. No spoilers for these games at all, not even the systems. So I'm trying to avoid everything about them, so it's fresh.
I will leave it at that then. I think everybody probably knows how Gloomhaven plays. I won't go into any details and spoil it for you. So there we go, moving on. 5, Twilight Imperium, 4th edition. So the second Twilight Imperium on the top 100. This is, I suppose, one of the grandest scope games out there. A massive kind of space, everything to do with space. You've got battles, you've got setting up planets, increasing tech trees, all this kind of stuff. This game has it. Really, again, another kitchen sink style game. Kind of got some combat, dice rolling and stuff. Have you played this one or not?
No, I this is when me, Gerald, and David get together next time. This is the one. I think we may even be organizing a weekend in a cabin somewhere just to play this game. This is Gerald's number 1 of all time.
Interesting. So, Yeah, this one for me is weirdly enough, this is like the polar opposite of games I normally go for. Space, sci-fi, normally a no. Dice chucking mechanisms, generally a no. But despite that, this is one I'm really glad I've got to play. And certainly one of those games I think everybody should try at least once, because it is a hell of an experience to take it away. The thing I really like most about this game is the kind of politics side of it. So you can kind of like pass laws and stuff and like vote against things. And some of them are really fun and dynamic and change the game a lot. Loads going on here. Again, more that kind of Ameritrashy style game, which is not my cup of tea. But if you like those style games, you like sci-fi games, then you're going to absolutely love Twilight Imperium. Okay, number 4, Terraforming Mars. Another confession, never played it. Have you played this one or not? Because I thought it'd be better if you take the lead if you have played it.
I have played this game. It's not for me. Yes, it was. I think first of all, the way it's been produced is an absolute disgrace. This is the worst. I know that people say they love this game so much they're prepared to pay to upgrade components. I wouldn't know where you'd stop. You would have to upgrade everything. It's just, I've never seen a game so bad. And this was 2016. This is when things were being pumped out supremely high quality. It was so bad. The game itself, it was okay. I just felt like move a cube here, move a cube there. I'm genuinely baffled. I've played this 3 or 4 times. I think if you're a Euro gamer, this is fabulous.
Okay.
Because I know that there are, obviously it's number 4, right? And I know my friends, the people I was playing with, thought it was the bee's knees. But I was like, okay. It's not really not my thing.
Yeah. I kind of think that I probably would like it, but I worry that I've got games in my collection, well, particularly Underwater Cities, which is often compared to this one. I don't think there'll be room for both. So definitely want to try to see what all the hype is about.
I hear the is it Ares? I'm not sure if it's like a mini standalone expansion or a reprint. It's supposed to be significantly better. From start to finish, just better.
Yeah, fair enough. I would like to try it because there are that many people, generally people I trust as well, say this game is absolutely brilliant. But yeah, just for some reason I haven't really had that massive incentive to try it.
It's one where I think, what am I doing wrong? Like you just have to accept that it's just not for you. It's like the Marvel cinema. Yeah, it's like it's just not for me. It's just not my thing. And I'm happy that you're happy, but I'm just out.
Yeah, fair enough. That's Terraforming Mars, number 4. Number 3, Brass Birmingham. So yeah, Brass Birmingham, a game that I got to table for the first time in 2020. This game is magnificent. Totally lived up to the hype for me. These kind of economic style games have really kind of come to the forefront of my tastes this year. It's surprisingly light in its rules, as you're basically trying to just upgrade buildings by shifting resources off them. And you do that through some quite clever route building, as you are kind of have this supply and demand thing as you're trying to connect your different, I think it's like coal and stuff to the market. You can use other people's resources, so this is kind of passive interaction. Got some interesting card plays. You use these cards for the locations and for the type of buildings you're putting down as well. A lot going on here. A lot of depth that maybe isn't first apparent. It definitely does take a few games to wrap your head around the sophistication of the game, but it's a wonderful game. Certainly a game that's going to stand the test of time. Play it again and again and again. It's always going to feel different because some good route building, gorgeous production, and I think this game is definitely one of the best. And again, I've really scratched the surface with it. I don't know. I don't consider myself a good player of it, but when I know I'm kind of hooked and want to get better at it, that's normally a good sign of a good game. But do you want to?
It's Martin Wallace. Yeah, I would. I really like Martin Wallace. I always find him. He always has. I always feel like he's one small step away from the perfect game, and I suspect that this might be the one I'm looking for. So yeah, I'd really like to play this one. Am I correct in saying Brass Lancashire was the original, and then this is the kind of updated, slightly improved version?
That's right. Yeah. So I think one of the changes were that it has this other resource called beer in it, or beer, and you put it on the certain out certain ports. And yeah, I never played the original, so I can't compare them. But from what I've heard, that's the difference. But I think it's minimal. But the game's great. Again, it's hyped up to the masses, and it's still, when a game lives up to the hype, it's normally a good sign. So I would recommend it. Number 2, Pandemic Legacy Season 1. So all 3 of the Legacy games are in the top 100. I suppose the same comments apply to this one than the other ones. So, yeah, no real interest to try this one. As time's gone on, my interest has gone down and down and down. Not willing to commit to that many games, especially not of Pandemic. So yeah,
this is the game I'd love to understand how the algorithm works behind this. Like, how does it get this high? Does that have that many people played it? Like, for example, Terraforming Mars. I imagine a great many more people have played Terraforming Mars than Pandemic Season 1, because Season 1 is such a difficult sell, right? You got to sit down for 12 games of this before you can, if you can really, experience it. Whereas 1 or 2 games of Terraforming Mars you've done. So how does that work? Yeah, this is one of those. I'm like, this is a odd one.
But to be honest, out of everybody I've ever heard, like unanimously, whoever's played Pandemic Legacy Season 1 says it's outstanding. But I suppose if you like Pandemic, you're gonna love it. But
yeah,
I'm just not willing to play it that many times. Well, there we go. Pandemic Legacy Season 1, but no longer the number 1. It was number 1 for a couple of years, I think. But now number 1, everybody knows. Gloomhaven, that's the main one there. So I've talked about Jaws of the Lion, which is kind of like a way to hold your hands through the rules, I suppose, the rules explanation. And Gloomhaven is the kind of main course, really. Loads of content in there. A dungeon crawler. I don't want to go into too many details because I'm just looking forward to playing it without any spoilers or even a mechanical spoiler.
I can talk about. I think because of, so I look at this top 100. I hadn't looked at it before, and I'm going through this thing. It is heavy in the Euros. So clearly, if you are a Euro style person, you're probably more inclined to come onto Board Game Geek and fill these things in, right? And I suspect that Gloomhaven has hit that sweet spot between it's a Euro, at its heart, it's a Euro game, but it has all kinds of theme splashed all over it. So you sort of feel a little bit rock and roll if you're a Euro game, but you're going for this sort of thing. I suspect it's hit that little sweet spot there. I'm really excited to try it because I don't like dungeon crawlers, a Descent, an Imperial Assault. But I like the idea that you're going to try a mix of these things. I'd be really interested to try it. I'm very excited.
Yeah, and I said that the rankings are massively skewed to these style of games, as you said, because I think even like a game like Wingspan, which is ranked quite highly. I think there was the number of rankings on Board Game Geek are like, I don't know, 100,000, something like that. Maybe not even that. Let's have a look. I can't remember what rank it was. There we go. There we go. 55,000. I think maybe a few months ago it hit 1 million sales. So it goes to show the kind of portion of people ranking it to the people playing it is massively off with a game like Wingspan. Whereas I imagine with a game like Gloomhaven, that percentage or ratio is going to be much higher to people ranking it than actual sales overall, if that makes sense. So there we go. You got to take it for what it is, though. But there we go. That kind of concludes the list, really. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Is there any kind of glaringly obvious game that you think would have been on this list or should be on this list, Ben, that isn't?
No, don't ask me that now. Ticket to Ride, I'm surprised isn't on there.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously it's the gateway game, and obviously it's old, but I bring that out. My gaming group, with 4 or 5 40-year-old men, and that's still one of the most requested games because it's just so easy, so good to teach. And yeah, I'm surprised it's not there. I didn't realize it's gone.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Euro one must be in the top 150, so maybe it narrowly missed out. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think about some other ones. Nothing jumps out massively. Maybe games like For Sale or Biblios, they seem to be generally quite popular. I thought they would be up there. Again, maybe probably not top 100, maybe top 200, 300. Yeah, that's it really.
I do know, yeah. Ethnos, I was surprised because that's always quite well received. People like that game.
Yeah.
I guess it's not as widely available. And Chinatown, I thought Chinatown was on the top 100 somewhere.
No,
I
I
love
think
that
Chinatown's probably in the top 400 or so.
Okay.
I love that game. It should be in the top 100.
Yeah, that's funny. It's funny. It's not.
Yeah. Okay. So
This
that's
is
pretty much.
that.
Sorry,
Oh,
go ahead. No,
so
go ahead.
that's where I think. That's where I think things like the Cult of the New and Kickstarter have skewed things slightly and made things a little imbalanced for whatever it's worth. It's just the way it is nowadays.
Yeah, but you say that's games from like Tigris and Euphrates are still in the top 100.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see the breakdown.
Ra's not there. I know Ra is considered one of the best. Yeah, there's a few glaring omissions.
I think Ra is in the top. I'm pretty sure it's in the top 150. I think it slipped out in recent months, really. But yeah, that's an absolute classic from the late 90s, and so it'll be interesting to see those stats and see what the year breakdown is. But there we go. Just a couple of final comments then before we part ways. Max, thanks for joining us, Max. Saying that he doesn't like legacy games, and we got one here saying after 17 plays of Pandemic Legacy, they don't want to touch another legacy again. But because
how are you playing 17 times? There are 12. There are 12 months, aren't there?
I think some of them might get broken down into further.
I didn't know that.
17, I think, something like that. And Barker says, what games do you feel are at risk of dropping out? The ones at the bottom, I suppose. Games like
I always think new ones. Anything published 2020, 21. I think that's the hotness. You have to have serious staying power to stay there. Because as much as we complain about to 100, it is a decent measure of what's popular and what's not at the time.
Yeah. Well, there we go then. So thanks to everyone for joining us for this pretty short notice stream. Again, thanks for Ben for joining us again at very short notice. So I didn't give him the most time to prepare for this, but he's been great guest, great having you on, Ben. So thanks so much for joining us, and hopefully we'll have you on for something else in the future as well.
It's flown by, Dan. Like it's 2 hours and 20 minutes just flown by.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so sorry for making it go so long. I had no intention of this going over 2 hours, but it has done. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. We've really enjoyed talking about these games. And for everyone else, we'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. And of course, be sure to check out Ben's podcast, Back of the Shelf. Brilliant podcast, talking about games of old, some stuff that's been forgotten about that they want to get back to the table and talk about and shed a bit of light upon. So anything else you want to add, Ben, before we leave?
No, thanks for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Brilliant. So thanks again, guys, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.